In this house. In this house. Come upstairs. Skinamarink. With We Know Kino.
Yo, what is up, everybody? I am Spooky. I am Seb. With me, as always, is Bex Feehan7. Hello there, Bex.
Hello, everybody.
Stevel is still away at the moment, so we have a special guest star who did that incredible intro, friend Krampus, aka Sean. How's it going, bro?
Hello. Good to be here on the We Know Kino podcast.
Yes, this is the We Know Kino podcast where we talk about movies and we review them, we break them down. And today, Sean, you have chosen the movie. I asked you to come on the pod, and I said, I know you're not a huge movie guy, but think about a movie that you would love to talk about. It doesn't necessarily need to be one that you love or that you enjoy, but think about something that you would like to talk about. And you said to me, all right, dude, we're doing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I did. That's what I said.
And then I was like, oh, that's a pretty long movie. You know, that sometimes we talk about movies for like 90-minute movies and we end up going like 6 hours. And he was like, oh, okay. Not Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. and he said to me, Skinamarink.
Skinamarink it is.
And I was like, what the hell is Skinamarink? Yes. Yeah.
Or as we said last night, what was it? Mr. Skinny Minx. And what was his accent? Mr. Skidmarks.
Zach was like, does it have like a guy in it? Is it Mr. Skidmarks? Yeah. If you are new to the pod, thanks for checking us out. Last week we talked about The Goonies. We had special guest Zach on. Speaking of Zach, that was a fun episode. That was a very sleepy episode. I feel a lot more awake for this one. It's maybe anger that drives me. So Sean, normally when we at the beginning, before we get into the breakdown of everything that happens, before we get into the breakdown of everything that happens, we discuss our backgrounds with the film. But before we do that, I've just remembered this is, in a sense, going to be a double whammy, guys. This is going to be a wombo combo. We're going to not only discuss Skinamarink, but we're also going to discuss Heck. And that is because it's. I feel like you kind of need to talk about Heck when talking about Skinamarink. These are Kyle Edward Ball's movies. Heck is like a short form kind of experimental piece of concept film, where Skinamarink is all right. They're now putting it into a feature length movie. These ideas. So today we'll discuss Heck and Skinamarink, not just Skinamarink. So we'll probably do Heck first and Skinamarink second. It'll be cool. Anyway, Heck is on YouTube as well. If you haven't seen Heck, you can just go ahead and watch it. Carl Edward Ball has a bunch of these kind of experimental short films on his channel. They're pretty cool. All right. Friend Krampus, Sean, why Skinamarink?
Well, I am a big fan of all things horror. Anyone that knows me knows that I love a good scare, whether that's through video games or through novels or through, as we so talk about here on the podcast, films. And I can't actually, I suppose it's quite on topic for this kind of film. I don't remember where I came across the film Skinamarink before, but I read...
That's so real for this movie.
Well, I read a sort of, maybe not a review, but an appraisal of the film, saying that it draws a lot from analog horror tropes There's a lot of use of unconventional camera angles and darkness, and we'll get into that later on.
Analog horror, by the way, is a term we'll probably be using a lot today. It's a relatively new term for a genre that's existed for a while. It's the use of like analog media or the style of analog media to elicit a unsettling response or creepy atmosphere.
Precisely. It's like sort of VHS tapes and
think of the back rooms, like
like Blair Witch Project was probably one of the first what could be described as an analog horror film, but that was of its time, to be fair. But analog horror now, it's seeing a resurgence as culturally 90s culture becomes a bit more popular, as these things do. But yeah, my original sort of impression of Skinamarink, someone described it basically as the film that makes you feel like you did when you were a kid and you were the last person in the house and you had to turn all the lights off and run up to bed before the shadow demon caught you, So that in of itself intrigued me as a concept.
Absolutely.
So I thought that it would be a nice watch in bed at night with the curtains closed. And if you haven't watched Skinamarink, that is how I recommend you watch it. But yeah, that was my original introduction to the film.
Okay. Bex, you want to go next?
Yeah, I can run it. I don't have a huge history other than the word of mouth when this had come out originally. Everybody was kind of talking about it online. It had two different audiences. It was either you love this movie and this is one of the scariest things you've ever seen, or everybody else was like, that is probably one of the worst movies I've watched in my life. But when I looked into it then, there's a book that I've always been really curious about, but I've never read, called House of Leaves. And there was a lot of people saying that there's a lot of like connecting dots with that.
House of Leaves. What is that? Do you know what it's about?
Very little. I got recommended
Sean
by a girlfriend one time, being like, hey, you should read this, and it looked good.
Mark Danielewski wrote a book called House of Leaves, which is essentially it's difficult to describe it as a novel because it's very experimental. It's told in a lot of different
film.
sort of I suppose there are parallels to be drawn. I can see why people would say that. But essentially, House of Leaves is a novel that's sort of written from a perspective of multiple characters. But there's one particular character who moves into a new home and he's doing measurements on it, and he realizes that one of the walls is too long on the outside, too short on the inside. So he starts investigating these discrepancies, and eventually he finds a door in the house that basically leads to nowhere. So he opens a door and it basically disappears into darkness, and that is essentially the House of Leaves. And I suppose there's a lot of meta commentary to be said about it. House of Leaves. Maybe the book itself is the House of Leaves because it's leaves of paper.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sort of, I don't know, lateral composition when it comes to that book. But I can certainly see why it's compared to Skinamarink.
All right, that's really cool. I got kind of goosebumps just thinking about this extended wall, and then there's an area in the house that you do not know. There's like an extra space.
I've been told for years to read it, and I just keep forgetting about it. And then, like the night before watching the movie again, I was like, oh my god, I need to look into this book again and just actually pick it up. So I'll probably pick it up this week and see what it's like.
It's quite a long read, quite a difficult read. It can be quite difficult to concentrate on, I think. At least I had trouble. And I'm
like this movie. The parallels that you're describing here. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Well, so I mean, this was my first time ever watching the movie. I only found out about it last week when, actually, Sean, you have brought Skinamarink up to me in the past. And when you have brought it up, you have explained that nobody you know has seen it.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that is a big reason why you wanted to bring that as your movie.
I am dragging you into watching this film with me, whether you like it or not, so I have someone to talk to about.
And now you have all of our listeners as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to share your opinions with me about the film, then by all means, I would love to hear from you.
Yes, that's fantastic. And you can, by the way, you guys can catch Sean at friend_Krampus on YouTube, and he's often at the Spooky Memes on Twitch. You know,
Yeah.
Check it in the description.
You'll also find him hanging around the Bex Fee and 7 stream as well, I'm sure. All right. So my background, I saw it for the first time last week, but I do have a background in this type of film, this type of art. You know, I went to art school. There's the artist in me that appreciates what was tried here, and there's the film lover in me that really dislikes what they've done here. Okay. My art degree was fine art, and I specialized in abstract film and photography. And I also made a lot of analog horror before it was even called analog horror. The stream intro for the Spooky Memes was a bunch of like stitched together short films and pieces that I made. So visually, it is very visually similar to this film. A lot of, they share some similarities. And then I asked Sean to make me a 80s synth style tune to go along with all the visuals. So, we're in that vibe.
Yeah, we know what we're doing.
The special we made a special Halloween intro as well for that we play every Halloween on the stream, and that actually uses old cartoons that I found on archive.org. So when this movie began, and you see, hey, we're using cartoons from archive.org, I was like, okay, all right, we're all around the same age. I think there's like just less than 1 year gap between the three of us. We grew up during the creepypasta hype, right? I read and wrote stories like this. Sean, I know for a fact you did too. Sean is a published author, by the way.
I am.
So you would think this film would be it for me, right? I've seen a lot of installation pieces, and I've made installation pieces, and I've put other people's installation pieces up in galleries because I've worked in museums that are like this, right? It's like a TV in a room, and they're playing like just this repetitive. That's how I describe the film. But often with these pieces, it's like watching paint dry. And I did feel like that with Skinamarink. Now my experience with Heck is quite different, so we'll get to that. We'll get to that after I finish talking here. I understand that endurance is part of this, right? That it's almost a test to the audience to see if you could sit still and watch this. Maybe that's easier if you are wrapped cozy in bed, Sean, like you described as the best way to watch this film. How uncomfortable can it make you feel? To me, though, I think the idea is to make you feel uncomfortable, to elicit more of a sense of dread and a sense of hopelessness, and then to get you when the shocks do come. But Skinamarink ended up being so dull to me, it missed the mark again and again. It would go too long. And
Sean, how do you feel about it?
That's my initial response to Skinamarink. So what about you too? Yeah, Sean. How did it make you feel when you first watched it?
Okay, so I think I can understand why you maybe didn't like the film, and I did. And I think part of that is because you're someone I know personally who very much likes a well-developed ending. You like something that builds towards a outcome of some sort in your media.
Sean, by the way, has known me longer than nearly all of my friends. We've been mates for like 16 years now or something. That's very fair of you to say that. Well, yeah, when it comes to film, I do. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and for that reason, I think, but because I'm more of a person who it doesn't matter so much to me as long as the overall work is something I've enjoyed.
The
I can
journey.
look at that and go, yeah, I can look at that and go, that journey was something I enjoyed. And for me, Skinamarink is that. It's not about how the film ends, and it's got a really strange ending. It's more about how the film uses what it has to create an atmosphere, to create a feeling, a tension, a sense of dread, as you said, and the whole impetus behind the film of it being that feeling of you being up late at night watching TV when everyone else has gone to bed. I think that it accomplished that in spades.
It grabs that nostalgia for us. It's set in 95?
95,
So-
the year I was born.
Yeah, that is there. I remember being up late at night watching TV once everybody's gone to bed. You know, I remember getting up to go get myself a glass of milk from the fridge, you know, and trying to switch the lights off and running into the next room. Bex, how did the movie make you feel on first watch? I know that you watched it and then watched it again. You watched it twice in one night, and you were up at 8 in the morning thinking about this because you still hadn't been to bed yet. So
I am very on the fence because I think there's a lot in here that I like. There's a lot of really cool moments. It took me I won't lie, it took me 20 minutes to really have my brain to stop going, look at your phone, Beckham. It's okay. You can look at your phone. The movie wants you to look at your
test,
phone.
this is what I'm talking about, dude.
But once I got past that, there was little pieces that I was just like, that is so fucking cool. Like, I get what they're doing, but it's also really frustrating about a lot of things as well. It's like, I get what they're going for, but there's so many moments in the movie where they could have done something a little bit more here and it would have worked for me. But then the movie's not trying to do that. They're not doing hey, we're doing a tension break and then you're going to get a massive jump scare. They're not trying that. So that I get
they
that
do
as well.
sometimes.
They have, but the jump scares in this are a big loud screech noise and then there's something there. It's not like there's, check under the bed and there's a monster there and we're going to show you the monster. There's none of that. It builds off of what you can't see. The best way I can do this, and I don't even know if this is a phrase, this is the only movie I've ever watched that's given me negative nostalgia.
What the fuck?
I don't even know if that's a thing, but that's how I felt. It's I have so many not bad memories, but scary memories that this movie brought up. You know what I mean?
Negative nostalgia. I like that. That's cool. Yeah.
It's not I was sitting there I had a terrible childhood. I just got brought back to a certain night in my life when I was 6 or 7 where I walked out of my room and it was the gray darkness and there's everything's, you can see it but you can't see it.
Absolutely.
All of that was flooding back to me when I was watching it. I do like it, but it's just kind of annoying.
Have you ever been in a place that's so dark that you start to see almost grain or static in front of your vision?
My room is like that. My room right now is really badly lit where it's like that. If the TV's not on and the curtains are closed and it's dark, my entire room could be pitch black and you literally can't see ahead of you at all.
But a literal static in front of your eyes.
Yeah, no joke.
You know what I'm talking about. I'm not being crazy, right? That's a thing.
No,
happens.
if you look into one corner of my room, Seb, there's literally you can't make out anything, and your vision will get fucked. It's a trick in my room. It's so weird. It's it's all little space in my room. There's look in there. That's freaky as fuck.
There's a drone off a drill or a saw in the distance. I hope that's not coming through the mic.
Every recording.
It's just where we live. By the way, Sean lives on the same street as me. We're just a few doors down from each other. So,
and you could hear the same chainsaw.
If he opened his window, he probably could. This to me felt like a proof of concept. This movie. It was trying to. I'm still talking about Skinamarink, by the way. It's trying to, as you said, capture that feeling of being a child, being alone. Oh, the sound of a door creaking, a branch moving. There's shadows outside that look like claws. On the inside of tree branches. Static on the TV. And I do feel like this film does all of that really well, but then it continues. It's constantly building tension, and it just goes on too long. For me, personally, every time misses the mark. The film, I'm sure, is like very unnerving for some, as you said, negative nostalgia. Whereas for me, it's more like meandering, and it's like a chore. You know, that can I stop looking at my phone thing, right? And I put this, I put my phone away. You know, it was way behind me. It was switched off, and I'm locked in. I'm in a dark room. I'm in a creepy attic where this is the only thing in front of me. You know, it's pretty good vibes for a horror movie, yeah. And it was struggling. It was struggling to captivate me.
I can give us a fourth review right now from our last guest host. He gave me a couple of sentences here that he said, which is, you've kind of like mentioned it. So Zach basically said that the movie is very solid, probably one of the best horror films I've seen recently that actually does its job, since I don't get affected by horror so much. So this movie really got to Zach last night.
That is so surprising.
Yeah. But like, bro was watching it.
Should we get him in here?
I told him basically to, like, we were talking about just as he set up, and I was like, put on headphones if you're watching it and give it your attention, and then come back to me. And that's like we were talking about, and that's what he said.
So Zach, by the way, you know, go listen to last week's episode, but he is I mean, as I said, we're all of the same age. He's a Zoomer, right? So attention span is not something they are known for. No offense, Zoomers. You know, you're the TikTok generation, right? That's really cool that he could lock in, as they say.
That is really interesting, because they don't even have the sort of nostalgic concepts that we have, because they grew up with when plasma TVs were starting to be a thing, you know?
It was 2005, I think Zach was born. You know, it's crazy.
That's
so
just
cool.
aged
Thanks,
all
Max.
of us in here.
Thanks for right.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
But like we were up like last night talking about every scene that he mentioned that got to him. I could see it. Like when he was saying why, I was like, you know what, I get it. Like I get how it would get under your skin like it did with Zach. I understand it.
Zach is now the entity in the corner of the room. And he's talking through you. For me, far too much look at the corner of the ceiling for 2 minutes. Now look at the top of the TV for 3 minutes. Now look at the Lego on the floor again. Pick up your fucking Lego, mate. What are you doing? You're gonna stub your toe. It's gonna hurt. And the you know, I said earlier about how this felt like a proof of concept. The irony is that there was a proof of concept, which was a shorter film called Heck, right? Which we're also going to discuss. Mm-hmm. That's half an hour long. And I watched Heck after I watched Skinamarink. And the whole time I was thinking, afterwards I was thinking, hey, if you put all of the best elements of this into a shorter film, it would work so much better, right? So I think Heck worked a lot better for me for that reason, and for other reasons which we'll discuss. Like the look under the bed scene, the 911 scene, like it's all this build up, but little doesn't really amount to much for me in Skinamarink, whereas in Heck, I just feel like they did a better job with it's also more of a cohesive story. It's less ambiguous, right, than this. So that's a personal thing. But that's the beauty of art, right? And this is an art piece as well as being a piece of film. And I know like all film is like an art piece, but I could definitely see this also being in a gallery, being in a museum, being shown in those kinds of places, like even as an installation. Like no one piece is for everyone, and it's what the viewer takes away from it that gives it value, right?
Yeah.
Did I enjoy the experience? No. Has it been on my mind since? Absolutely. Right? So, again, Sean, thank you for bringing this movie to our attention, because It's what a film to discuss, right?
Yeah, it's that's the thing. Like even if you didn't enjoy the film, it's still a vehicle for some interesting discussion because it does a lot of unorthodox things within it.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's completely unorthodox. This is not a movie you would expect to go sit in a cinema and see. Like I was trying to imagine myself. I always try and put myself in like, Bex, you do the same, right? Where no matter when a movie comes out, you try and put yourself in the situation of a person sitting in the seat in the cinema for the first time. Seeing it at that time,
Like
right?
if I'm watching something new, or like new to me, I should say, no matter when it is, I always imagine what it was like being in the cinema to have seen it.
So this movie came out in 2022, and I was trying to imagine myself in the cinema watching this, and I could imagine people walking out, right? And I could imagine people completely locked in.
Movie experience in the cinema in general. This, like I said, even to Zach or to anybody that was talking to me about it, at home by yourself, don't watch it with anybody in a dark room, and preferably with headphones on is the only way to watch this.
Well, this came out in 2022.
Yeah.
Pandemic. We were all stuck at home. I can imagine the amount of people who were like, hey, stuck at home, let's find a good horror movie to watch. Let's put this on, and like you feel like your time is wasted. I can see that, but I could also see the other side, like Zach was saying. You know, we see all sides here at the We Know Kino. We're well rounded, like physically as well. We're all very well rounded.
I'm pretty round here.
Bex, you're tall. You're probably very very lean, I'd imagine.
No, to be fair, COVID put some meat on my bones.
Oh, me too. Me too. Speaking of the pandemic, actually, yeah. You know,
I was before though. Like I was very skinny before COVID, like literally skin and bone. Then COVID happened. I was like, you know what? Looks like I've caught a dad bod for myself.
I was hanging out with my friend and his wife, and she goes, "Oh, you used to be fat, didn't you?" And I was like, "Whoa!" We met during the pandemic, and I was like, "Was I?" And I'm looking at old pictures. I'm like, "Wow, I was very round like 2 years in." So yeah, I've blown up. Anyway, okay. Shall we talk about Heck first?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we can get. You have the notes on this, right?
I made some notes on this, so you guys can follow my lead.
Because it's in my head.
Sean, if you have, we'll break it down. We'll kind of go beat for beat. With Heck, I was a little more loose than I normally am, right? Because it's a shorter movie, and I didn't know whether or not we were going to discuss Heck. But anytime you have anything to say, just jump right in, dude. You can. You know that you know how it is, bro. You know how it is.
Of course, yeah.
All right. The movie begins, and straight away I'm like, this film is so much clearer. It's better lit. It's not as painful to look at. It's not this grainy haze, you know, of like just sheet colors, right? They use a lot of the same camera angles, but they're not as like egregious with how long we're on each shot. And the camera also has got more movement to it. It's more what did you say, kinetic rather than static. Is that right? It's static when it's
So I get what you mean.
Some people I saw online talking about this movie called it a found footage movie, and I'm like, it's definitely more of like a POV movie.
I could see both sides of the argument though. I could.
Heck is definitely more POV, whereas like it does feel like you're on stationary cameras with Skinamarink, but it feels like a camera would be out of place there, right? It's not like somebody has found a bunch of cameras.
Yeah. No, yeah.
You get me.
I get.
You
Yeah,
get me. Yeah. So, I like how this movie, the passage of time is counted as sleeps rather than days.
Yeah. I like that, yeah.
It's very through the eyes of a child, right? And that is what Heck is. We are through the eyes of this child. This kid is walking around the house. It's dark. If you've seen Skinamarink, or if you've seen, you know what we're going through right now. The kid tries to get his mum's attention. Hey, mum, I've tidied my room. No reply, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we get more of these lingering shots, and Bex, you said it earlier, where it's like you're trying to switch the lights off, or you're the feeling of like something scary might be over there. Let me look away from that. Pretend that's not there. Let me try not to have that in my vision right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like that's almost what the camera angles feel to me like. Oh,
I had the same in Skinamarink. Like I had it written as the same. It's like you're constantly like
it's
in
the same in Skinamarink.
The room.
Yeah.
So it's like you're trying to not keep looking at the shadows that were constantly being shown. It's like
exactly,
that kind of
stuff. Yeah. The kid again. I'm coloring in the carpet. It's like Bart Simpson, smacking the pans, like, pay attention to me. Like, even more time passes. It's all quiet now, like the kid is trying everything to get his mum to like talk to him. It's really sad, right? This kid is by himself in this house, in this room. And he doesn't understand why she won't answer, right? And then he says, I'm sorry I got cancer. And he says, I'm better now, though, right? And this was so chilling to me. It just hit me so hard. And maybe that's because it's as I said, it's less ambiguous, right? We know that something horrible has happened to this kid. And I'm like, oh, it's like he's stuck in limbo, right? Or maybe he's passed away, but he can't move on, right? He's almost this spirit stuck, he can't get away. He sings "You Are My Sunshine" to himself, or at least I think that's him singing to himself. I don't think that's his...
There was.
And it's so heartbreaking. And then the film shows like drawings he's done of him and his mum, and it's like Sean, like you said before when you were talking about how I like a narrative that you can really follow, right? With this, it's all making sense to me.
Yeah,
you again, more like lingering shots. You the room, the television, the Legos, the cartoons. We get the shot of his mum with no mouth. She can't talk to him, or she has nothing to say to him, right? So it's all working. It's all making sense. We start to hear like thumping around it, and I'm assuming that this is the kid making noise to try and get attention at this point, right?
Yeah,
like a kid will have a tantrum. We have the blue misty shots. It's almost like there's something taking over the house. Yeah. And I almost wish we had more of this in both this movie and Skinamarink, because you see that in Skinamarink as well. We see somebody with their face like against the television. And is that supposed to be his mum? Because the mum we saw earlier had the long hair, and she looks like she's got like long blonde hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's like a portal to the other side. Anyway, so the sleeps went from like days, weeks. Then we hit the subtitle 3,681 sleeps, right? So I Googled that. That's 10 years, 1 month, and 1 day, right? And I'm like, does that mean something? That's a lot of ones. I don't know if it's ones and zeros. It's binary, innit? I don't know what the meaning to that is. Then we get like heavy breathing noises, and I'm like, is he on life support? Is that what this is? Is this coma stuff happening here? And then it's 18,694 sleeps, which is 51 years, right? Again, what does that mean? I don't really know, but it's a very cool concept. The cartoons, by the way, have been playing this whole time, and they're like getting more and more distorted. He goes through a door. He's still looking for his mum. I think this is the first time we see like his POV go through the door since like the beginning. But anyway, he does this. This is now we're at towards the end of the movie, and he says, "I think we're in hell."
Yeah.
And then the movie ends. The tension worked. There was no jump scares in this version. There's no scary voice or entity talking to him, telling him to hurt himself. The feeling of dread was there the whole time, right? I was really hesitant to watch this movie after not enjoying the feature length, the built up on this.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad it did, because this elicited the right emotions. Well, the emotions I assume that the creator wanted for people watching the main movie to have, right?
Yeah.
So that was Heck. Do you guys have anything to say about that? I've kind of said my feelings as I was going through the little breakdown there.
Say that this one's more like beginning, middle, and end, right? That's kind of why you enjoy it more, because it has that.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of the same as the first, right? So like I do get your point. Yeah, as Skinamarin.
I mean, it's there in Skinamarink, and I can watching this helped me see that it's there in Skinamarink.
Even in this, there's still there's like an openness to it where it might not be exactly the straightforward story that's there, where you have to put your head to it to make
true. You've
your
got
own
both,
idea,
right?
Yeah, I do agree though. There's more of a. There's more towards the end of this. There's more of a. This is exactly the situation where Skinamarink goes in a bit of a direction where like you lot figure out what this means. Like if you're watching it, you figure it out.
That Skinamarink has,
Yeah, but then again, on this as well, when I was watching it after seeing Skinamarink like last night, I pieced it together only because I'd seen Skinamarink. If I hadn't have seen Skinamarink, this would have felt more open for me as well. I would have been like, what exactly would have been happening? Do you know that kind of way?
Well, we've all three of us have watched Heck after Skinamarink, so that's our. That's our. Maybe if you are listening to this, check out. If you haven't already, check out Heck first, and then Skinamarink, and tell us how you feel about it. Although if you've got to this point, you've probably just listened to me break it down. Yeah, it's this just worked so much better for me. I can't say that enough. I think it's the time. I think it's the way the story was told. The cinematography is just much nicer to look at. It's not like a pain, right? The shots are all really nice. It's a lot cleaner. Yeah. For me, this worked. And it did, as I said, it gave me more of an appreciation for Skinamarink, because I enjoyed this so much, and I can see what Skinamarink was trying to do. And we'll definitely discuss theories about Skinamarink and what we feel that is about, or what's happening there. If there even is an answer. With this stuff, guys, there could be so many right and wrong answers. Like, nothing that we say today could maybe that's not the same as what you get from it, and that's completely fine.
No. It's a movie that goes out there and gives you it gives you the option to have your take on whatever is happening.
And that is very cool.
Yeah,
that is very cool. Yeah, Sean, do you have any words on Heck before we jump into Skinamarink?
Well, it's actually quite interesting because I more or less have the complete opposite opinion to you, Seb, in that I really liked Skinamarink and I didn't really care for Heck.
Right.
I am not entirely sure why. My theory of this is right. Okay, like don't get me wrong. I would never wish harm upon people, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really like children per se. Like I'm not really a fan of like hanging out. Like if my family brings like a little cousin over or something like that, I don't really want anything to do with them. Like that's not something I really find sort of like joy or fun in.
Okay.
So like when a film or something has kids as a focal concept and it's trying to elicit sympathy for them, I'm not really as affected as much.
Right.
I can understand why people would watch Heck and go, "Oh my god, that poor kid," you know. Like, it's quite a. I like that whole idea of being in limbo or in hell and it not being what people expect, with the fire and the devil with the horns and poking you with his trident and stuff like that. Like, I like abstract concepts of hell, and I think it did that really well. But in terms of the the tension building, I think that it didn't have enough time to do it, whereas I think Skinamarink did.
That is the complete opposite of me. That's wild.
Yeah. The one thing that I do find interesting, though, is that you mentioned the blue. The blue is something I really liked, because to me, I don't know if anyone will agree with me on this, right? But I think blue is the creepiest color there is. There's something about, like,
Above
if you
black.
think above black, yeah, above
Well,
black.
actually, black is a shade, but
Yeah, well, yeah. I knew someone was going to fucking say that.
I went to ask for 4 years, guys.
Yeah.
4 years.
That's what he came out with.
That's what I came out
with. He had to use it somewhere. But yeah, if you think about things that are blue, right? There aren't many things that are naturally blue. You've got the sky, you've got the ocean, and that's it. What's in the sky? You don't know.
They're
People
both
look
the
up at
big
sky
unknowns, though, aren't they? They're both the huge unknowns.
I was about to say paint. Lads, help me.
Oh, nice one, Bex. Oh, blue. What's blue? Blue paint. Great. What a
Sean,
thrilling concept.
Our passports. We have blue
Passport.
Blue passports. That's
Does that mean that, like, by this theory, Sean, you think blue eyes are creepy?
They can be. Like, in terms.
Have you ever seen that white dragon?
I've seen a blue eyes white dragon. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, go on.
They're creepy as hell.
But yeah, if you eyes aside, right? Eyes aside, I think blue is a creepy color, and Skinamarink did that a lot more. Like, Heck was a lot more vibrant with its coloring. There was a lot more of that. There was less. What would you call it? Filters on it.
I don't even. There might even be more filters on it. It seems like the camera. It's almost like, and I don't know this for sure, but it's almost like he added filters to create the analog aesthetic, whereas Skinamarink is an actual old camera, right?
Yeah.
That might not be true at all, but that's what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, as well as the blue color coding as well. The thing about Skinamarink as well, something we touched upon earlier, was the cameras. So Heck is filmed the majority of Heck is filmed as a sort of first person perspective of this little kid, you know. So the camera is moving a lot, it's looking at places, it's doing all the things a little kid would do. Whereas in Skinamarink, I think, because I watched for this in Skinamarink. I think there's maybe like 6 pan shots in the whole film of Skinamarink.
In fact, when I remember noticing, like, I think the first pan shot and then it panned back, and that was almost more unsettling after watching nothing happen for so long than the spooky voices for me.
Well, this is the thing, like,
we'll definitely talk about that, by the way, more when we break down Skinamarink in a moment.
Yeah, I feel like in Heck, the first person shots were overdone. In Skinamarink, I think they were saved for a moment where they were more significant. For example, when Kaylee goes upstairs, Skinamarink does become first person perspective from Kaylee's perspective. But I think maybe it's just because I'm a big fan of this sort of style because of old Resident Evil games.
Dude, I've got it in my notes. Our survival horror background with
the idea of fixed camera angles, I fucking love it, because You know what people always say about fixed camera angles. Oh, it restricts the viewer's perspective of what's happening. It creates tension of things or what's around the corner. You know, it symbolically and physically represents less control from the viewer. So that's I like that. I like that a lot. But yeah, in short, I preferred Skinamarink over Heck. I see what Heck was trying to do. Maybe it didn't hit a personal sort of string with me, but I can appreciate both in different ways.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, Bex, do you have any last thoughts on it before we move over to Skinamarink?
I am majestically on the fence about Heck 2. I think I like Skinamarink more, but like
you enjoyed Skinamarink more.
Yeah, I enjoyed Heck, and I enjoyed a lot of what they were doing. It's just I probably would have rather have gotten the experience just out of Skinamarink. I'd have rather if they'd have done some of what they did in Heck in the ending of Skinamarink. If that makes sense, like if they'd have gone a little bit more, like hold my hand and tell me what's happening at the end instead of what we get with Skinamarink, where it's like, okay, well, it's over now. You tell me what you thought happened. That kind of way. But both of them, I have them both kind of in the same. I feel the exact same about. There's some frustrating bits in Heck, but there's also some cool bits in it as well. So that's my take on it.
Okay. All right, guys. Are we ready to move over to the next film then? Bex, what you always do this. What would you give Heck out of 5?
So Heck is probably gonna get. Honestly, I can't say anything other than a 2.5 out of 5 because I'm so on the fence about it, I can't go above it.
Fair play. You know what I mean? Save your Skinamarink until after. Right. Cool. 2.5. 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 for Heck. I liked enough, disliked enough. It's right in the middle. Dead on 2.5. Yeah.
All right. As I said, if you want to go watch this, you haven't seen Heck. It's on YouTube. It's available. It's very easy to watch. It's very easy to find. Yeah. Okay. Skinamarink. Here we are.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Skinny
Mr. Skinny Winks. Let's go. We're going back to 1995 with this one, guys. The camera is on the floor in a corridor. 2 kids walk out at the end of the corridor. And by the way, I'm writing all of this as it's happening. Like, I don't know what's coming up yet, right? So
yeah.
Wait, can we just mention before the budget of this movie, actually? Because it deserves to be
$15,000. Is that right?
Made $2 million back then,
and it made $2 million.
Yes,
and
that's mad
during the pandemic.
Which is also insane to make $2 million on that budget in the middle of the pandemic.
I'm sure Kyle Edward Ball is over the moon with that. I'm sure everybody who worked on this is.
Would you check out another one of his movies? Haven't seen this. Like, would you be curious about whatever comes next from him?
Absolutely. Even though this didn't quite work for me, you know, I'm a connoisseur of the arts and of the movies. I would love to check out more of this guy's work, and I will, because he's got a whole YouTube channel full of like short experimental films. So I'll be doing that.
I'm assuming, Sean, you'd be checking out stuff anyway because you like this, right?
Oh yes.
I'd be curious to see if somebody, because of the hype of this, gave him a bigger budget to work on something, and he stuck to his guns and made another experimental movie instead of going for something a little bit more like a studio has told you.
The most recent thing he's worked on is House of Ashes, apparently.
He was something to do with House of Ashes? I didn't even know that.
The Dark Pictures anthology, the game House of Ashes.
Yeah, I didn't know he had to do with it.
Yep. I don't know what.
Interesting.
But I've just is known for Skinamarink, House of Ashes, and wait a second. Is there a movie House of Ashes?
Don't know.
I was about to say, because I don't
or
really.
Is he working on a House of Ashes movie?
Why?
Is that a thing? Well, I don't know if that's a thing. Let me look up the House of Ashes.
The same name, but not the
game.
same
Kyle
thing.
Edward ball.
But I'd whatever he does do while Seb is looking it up, I'd hope he'd stick to this kind of stuff instead of going for more of a hey, I'm making what a studio wants me to make. I'd love to see him get a $20 million movie made up there. He does something just insane with like this.
It does make me think what he'd do with all that money, though.
I feel like I don't know where the budget went with Skinamarink. Does that make sense? Like, that sounds like such a horrible thing to say, but maybe it was marketing because it is such an analog, one set movie, right? If Steve was here, I'm sure he'd be able to tell us, the more intricacies of the filmmaking he's doing it. I don't know. Again, some people absolutely hate his stuff, though. So I'm sure any producers who are maybe looking to hire the guy would maybe be like, yeah, a lot of people are really not into this. You know what I mean?
But off of that logic, there's millions and millions of people to hate Quentin Tarantino, and he still gets to make movies too. There's a niche audience for everything.
That's true.
Especially now for this kind of stuff. Like I like we mentioned earlier, the internet and creepypastas and all of that like era stuff. This is built right for it. So there's an entire generation of people that love it.
I don't know if you give this kind of guy a budget for a theatrical movie, or if a studio would allow that, if a studio would maybe rein him in a lot more, something that's what I was frightened of.
Yeah. That's what I meant. If
we saw it when we were talking about Land of the Dead, with George A. Romero. It's like you give a kind of a guy with a real big creative vision, and then you put him in the studio setting, and sometimes it can work because some people are, they can work in that, but this he's an artist to me. This feels a lot more, as I said earlier, this is closer to the art installation pieces that I saw in this is a lot better than the stuff I saw in uni, but like the stuff I saw when I worked at the museums or in the galleries, than what you see in the cinema, you know what I mean? All right, should we continue? So the camera's on the floor, and we're just seeing like the feet of these kids. We can see them at the end of the corridor, but that's all we really see is their legs. Yeah. And I was thinking, oh, it's found footage. Is like somebody dropped a camera on the floor, and one of the kids is it a radio? The red thing. The
like thing with the handle and it's red and with the little yellow handle.
Yeah, it's in Heck as well, isn't it?
Can't remember what they're called, but it's basically a little radio.
It's a little radio. It's maybe got like a tape in that can play, like a tape player. Yeah. And then they walk into. I've called it the bend room, but I'm sure that's supposed to say bedroom. And
bend room.
They're calling for their dad. And then a subtitle, we get these like titles on the screen, and they tell us that all the cartoons and media used are in public domain, and they're from archive.org. And Bex, we've spoke a lot about archive.org on this podcast.
Yeah.
And as Sean and I have worked on like intros for the stream together, and we've used archive.org, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I think we spoke about Archive as early as episode 1 when we were talking about Night of the Living Dead, because you could watch Night of the Living Dead on there because George A. Romero always had trouble with copyright.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It was the very first episode. It was like, it's literally on archives.org. Like, go see it.
Still, guys, it's a great film. Go watch that. You go listen to episode 1. You can hear us be all nervous because we don't know what we're doing. Do we know what we're doing now?
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
It's my first time.
This is your first time, dude. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Oh, thanks, man.
Zach, if you're listening, you did great too, bro. You did great too. Okay. The subtitle underneath says that they took the correct procedures to film this during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's great. That's what I want to see. That people taking that shit seriously. So thank you. Thank you.
Tom Cruise would have been happy.
Tom Cruise would have been very happy. Yeah, he was.
Clip was so funny of him at that time.
He was very mad at people for not wearing masks and for stalling the production of his movies.
Yeah,
he maybe overreacted. Or maybe not. You know, it was deadly virus, guys. It was deadly.
Well, at that time, he was probably terrified of it. You know, it was still kind of fresh at the time, if I remember. So,
okay, we're cutting now from room to room. There's different angles. They're not all lit up. You know, it's natural lighting, and by that I mean there's barely any lighting, and it's not like studio lights, right? Mm-hmm. So, it's a bit cool at the beginning, right? This is where minutes in, I'm not soured on this right now. There's a blue glow on one of the walls, and you're like, okay, well that's going to be from the television. There's a flicker from like a candle, I think, or maybe it's a nightlight that flickers. Or
I think it is a nightlight. I wasn't quite sure about that myself.
Yeah, maybe there's both.
It's a little plugged in kind of like light. That's
weird that it's out in the hallway though. That's what I thought was kind of strange.
Well, you know, I had this. I think my mum would leave me to go to bed when I was younger, and there was a nightlight in the hallway, so there was a little bit of light there, and she'd leave the door open a bit.
Okay.
You know, so again, it's what he managed to do, and I do have a real big appreciation for, is that sense of nostalgia, and he really captured that feeling of being in a child's shoes, looking through a child's eyes. You know, like this is how it felt, and it brought back those memories to me. So that was cool. Yeah, there's a flicker of light from the candle of the nightlight, and I'm writing here. I wrote so far, and knowing Sean, this is very FNAF.
It's very FNAFy Friday.
Yeah,
Freddy.
Yeah,
game.
It's the static camera angles, and you brought up survival horror before, Resident Evil games, right?
Yeah,
I wrote that down too, and I can see why you vibe with this. Right,
all fixed camera angles like FNAFy Freddy Fridays.
Yeah, exactly. And you're constantly cutting between, and it's a build-up of tension because not much is happening on either of them, until something does happen, and that is FNAF to a T. And this is like, it almost does this a disservice to compare it to FNAF, but you know what I mean.
We should probably define that FNAF is Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, have we not said
anyone
that?
Doesn't know.
No, just keep saying FNAF and Freddy's.
FNAF.
Okay.
Would the Five Nights at Freddy's movie have been better if it stuck to fixed cameras?
So Sean and I actually went to see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. That was the first time I had a go at doing movie reviews. I did a terrible Five Nights at Freddy's review. I loved the first like 5 minutes, the opening of that, where it felt like the video game, and it's the guy sitting in the security room looking at the cameras, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it continues.
But guys, we're not here to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. We're here to talk about Skinamarink.
Well, I had to talk about Skinamarink, but before we move back to Skinamarink, I need to ask you a question, Sean, because there's another movie that this reminds me of. That is, it's way less ambiguous, but it's got a very similar aesthetic and style. You might completely disagree with me here. Paranormal Activity. Do you like those movies? I don't know if we went to see those movies together when we were younger, dude. Because I remember going to the cinema with a bunch of our mates from school. I don't know if you were.
I think they're a bit overhyped.
I agree, but it's this constant. It's a camera that's fixed, and you're staring at nothing happen for ages, and then something will happen.
Yeah,
I think that is the most commercialized version of this. Right?
Yeah, you're right there. You're right. The only difference is that in Paranormal Activity films, the camera angles are diegetic, like they are cameras. and you are looking through a camera.
To my point earlier, where people discuss this as a found footage movie, it's not a found footage movie.
It's not.
I would
No,
definitely argue. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move away from those other films though. But what do you think about it though? Do you like those movies?
not particularly.
Okay. What about you, Bex?
I think the first one was like, era defying. Everybody talked about. After that, it just fell off.
Yeah. The first one, it was a bit like our Blair Witch.
It started the whole ghosts, like every movie had to have a ghost. It was a haunting story, and then we ended up like the Conjurings.
It rebooted almost the supernatural horror genre, in a sense. It kind of gave it new life.
Because other than that, Saw was carrying horror cinema for years before Paranormal Activity
we were still in torture porn, at that point.
It's like Saw was the thing, and then Paranormal came through, and then I think we had like a good 5-6 years of everybody doing a ghost story.
Grave Encounters was pretty fun.
Yeah.
So, like that.
First one's good. Rest of them, I could take it or leave
agree.
it.
I like the one with I think it's a Mexican family, and they all go and get shotguns and then fuck everything up. That was pretty fun.
I don't think I've even seen that far into them. I think I've only seen maybe 4.
That's maybe 4 or 5. I can't remember. They're all blended together, except that one stands out to me because they go get a bunch of guns and they go kill a cult or something like that.
I thought you were about to say they go kill ghosts. I was like, how did they kill ghosts with shotguns?
No, you kill ghosts with shotguns.
Can you kill ghosts with a shotgun?
Have you ever tried?
I live in Ireland. We don't have shotguns like that.
I thought you were going to say we don't have ghosts.
Load the shells with holy water. Blast those spirits back to hell.
Exactly. There we go.
That's how you do it.
That's fair.
I like how in Time Splitters Future Perfect, when Cortez he's in the haunted house and he sees his future self like shooting all around him, and he's like, what are you shooting at? And he pulls up his goggles and he's like, ghosts. And he goes, oh, how are you shooting ghosts? And he goes, ghost gun. By the way, Time Splitters 2 and Future Perfect, they went to the PlayStation store and they're doing amazing right now. Like they're selling so many copies and everybody's playing it again. It's fantastic.
Oh yes.
Yes. Oh yeah. So we're getting the feel for the house right now. The camera's not completely still, as you said. Sometimes it pans, but very slowly. Sometimes there's a bit of a shake to it or a rumble. Anyway, we see doors open. There's a kid sits in the corridor in the dark. It's a very spooky vibe. And I think this is where we get our first words. This is 8 minutes into the movie. And is it like a kid whispering, "Are you hiding?" With Skinamarink, there's definitely some kind of entity or something that is not the kids that is talking, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whereas in Heck, it's just the kids, and I think I prefer that. But I also love the idea of an entity hiding in the shadows, and I'm sure Sean, you love that too, and Bex as well, right? That's a creepy idea. So that could work either way, right? Are you hiding? And it's subtitled for us as well. Bex, you did you watch with closed captions or anything like that?
Yeah, like for the second watch, I had on closed captions.
So anywhere where you think where I miss something like that, please bring it up.
If there's anything to kind of like explain anything further, I'm pretty sure most of it though was like just a little noise was made that you would have heard if you were just listening. Right,
and if I miss something that you think you want to add to it as well,
of course,
as always, So a kid is counting, and I'm like, are they playing hide and seek? Is he is he counting down before he can go and look? Right. Lights are being switched on as somebody's walking around the house. We don't see the person though. The angles are all pointed up or down, and it feels like this movie takes place in real time almost as well. But maybe that's just because barely any time has happened, but it feels like so much time has happened. Where we're not used to that in movies. You know, it's like you cut out the walking in between parts.
Do you think maybe, right? This is just
Yeah.
a thought that I'd scribbled down. Do you think maybe because of the shots randomly of like the Lego on the floor and the TV and the corners of the walls, it's like your memory itself. Like I I know I have a terrible. Seb does too, but like when you think back of a memory of you as a kid, can you tell exactly what was in the room at the time? Can you tell me like what that room to a T looked like to a perfection?
That's a really cool idea, actually. Yeah, like
Because maybe like if we're thinking of it, it's a POV from a kid's point of view. One of I think is it Kevin we're probably mainly aiming for, right? So if it's from his memories, maybe the shots of the floor and the corner is like that's a little part of the room in this memory of his that he can remember, and the floor, the Lego on the floor, the little few toys, that kind of thing. Instead of just we just have a random shot of a corner we're just sitting on it.
That works with the Lego and like specific things. It doesn't work so much for me with like a corner of a room. Where
but maybe that's the only part of it.
Have you ever seen a movie before? But you've like watching it on a small TV and maybe there's a drink in the way on the table, right? And then your memory of that just filters out that was ever in the way. Like, are you ever in the cinema watching a movie and you're with a big crowd and there's like heads in the way? But then when you think back to the movie, they're not there anymore, right? So those things to me wouldn't. I'm not thinking of like a bit of carpet when I'm trying to remember like what my childhood room was like. Does that make sense?
But do you remember a carpet that you maybe had in your house?
I remember playing on a carpet, so a carpet was probably a bad example from my point, but for your point, that's very good. But you know what I mean? But you know, I was trying to. But the thing is because I was trying to think of more angles that they used, which a lot of them are these weird angles.
And a lot of it is like, I think it's like maybe with the corners in the room, it's because he does like most of it is above a door. Like there's a lot of it where there's a frame of a door in the corner, right? So he doesn't want to look into maybe the next room or the hallway, so he's looking at the corner instead.
Absolutely.
That's
cool, dude.
The part too. I don't know. I'm putting.
No. I'm with you. I'm with you, Bex.
Yeah. Another thing about these odd angles, right? Is it's not. I know obviously, films are a horror medium, a visual medium. But I think maybe one of the reasons why that was done in that manner is to draw less attention to what you're seeing and more to what you're hearing. Like there are points in the film where like you'll be looking at something that's quite indescript, but at the same time there will be some kind of sound occurring. And as a brief aside, there's another film. Like if I was to come back onto We Know Kino again, I'd probably want to talk about this film,
which we hope he does.
There's a film called there's a film called A Field in England, and it's like an indie film by a British guy called Ben Wheatley. And one of the things that he decided to do with A Field in England is shoot it completely in black and white. And the reason why he decided to do that is because he felt, at least, and you know, there is some evidence of, you know, sensory deprivation heightening other senses. The reason he decided to do that is because he thought that removing color would draw people's attention more to what was actually happening in the shot.
That's why I shoot in black and white primarily as well for my photography. Like I also love looking at the shades, right? But you definitely focus on the subject matter more than if there is color all around, you know?
Yeah, and that is what I think Skinamarink is trying to do. In that it is not just about what you look at, but it's also what you hear as well.
Yeah, that's I've probably missed in my notes like a bunch of the stuff that you hear.
Yeah,
I've already said that I didn't have the best time watching this, so I apologize if I missed stuff out like that. But yeah.
I kind of think as well, like you've mentioned it, where it's clicked into my head now. When it comes to Heck, that it was a cleaner looking movie, like even the way it was shot, right? I think the film grain that's added on this. Like I looked it up while we were talking as well. It's shot on digital, and the film grain is added on after.
It is, yeah, right.
I think them doing that made this more. Like I got into it after the 20 minutes because at the start I was like, this looks ugly. The film grain, like I hate film grain to an overdone extent. But then after like 20, 30 minutes, my head started messing with me because of the film grain. I was like, was there something in that shot of there? Like, is the shadow moving? Is there something in it?
I mean, they do stuff like that as well. They do use it.
And that's what eventually. I mean, but they do, but that throughout the film, you don't know when they do or don't do it because your head is constantly telling you, was there something? So that's adding another little bit to it. Every shot of a hallway, there could have been somebody stood in that hallway the same way a kid would think. Like if I'm waking up in the middle of the night, I look down the hallway in the house as a 4-year-old, I'm like, who the fuck is down there? And it's literally like a coat that my mom left hanging up on something, that kind of way.
I'm absolutely with you. I've got to stay true to my feelings when I first watched the movie, right? Because as I said, it's an endurance run, and I think if anybody listens to us talk about it and then goes to watch it, like, you will have to go through that endurance, right? You have to strap yourself in and really go for it. Put phones away, experience it. But I can't stress enough, even with all of the things that I dislike, this stuff is cool, and it's always really cool to talk and discuss this stuff with you guys, with other people, to watch reviews, to watch what other people say about it, what other people get from it, because you can always give yourself a bigger picture, right, when you do these kinds of things. And this is why I love having the podcast so much, because it gives me a bigger appreciation, because I could have just watched this movie at face value, but I watched the movie with more of a critical eye to begin with, and now I'm discussing it with you guys, and that's really fun. Thanks. Bex, great points. That's dope, dude.
Thank you.
There's a light being switched on as somebody's walking around the house. We don't see the person walking through. Okay, I've said that. The angles are pointed up. Yep, lots of door angles, like you said, Bex. And at this point in the movie, I remembered Sean, when I asked Sean to describe it in one word, the film, to me, and I think you said cerebral. And I was like, okay, I get that. At this point in the movie, I get that. That's what popped into my head, because I'm trying to fight other thoughts coming into my head of other things. We pan down to a TV glowing, and it switches off. And then a guy or a kid or somebody whispers, "Kaylee." Right? So, in this movie, there's two kids as well. It's not like Heck, where there's one kid. We've got, what are the two kids' names? Do you guys know?
Kaylee and Kevin.
Kaylee and Kevin. It's very eerie, and it almost feels like at some points that we're spying into someone's home, because the camera's not moving and we can't get a good look at what's going on, right? And that's really creepy.
And you never, like, throughout the entire movie, other than maybe one scene, you don't get a full shot of an actual person ever.
Yeah, no, you don't. Very Jonathan Byers outside the window with his camera. A guy picks up a phone and dials. He says, he's fine, but Kevin fell down the stairs and hit his head. He says how they didn't need to do stitches, and that Kaylee said he was sleepwalking. As and while we're hearing this, there's a shot from the bottom of the stairs, right?
Yeah.
I'm definitely getting the negative nostalgia of walking around in the dark, seeing that my mum's still awake, she's watching TV, I'm sitting on the staircase, all of this stuff. But to that point, is that the explanation right there, what we've just heard?
That is I think the opener of the conversation of what this movie is.
I think that is where all the theories spawn from.
Yeah.
Kevin fell down the stairs, right?
Like, we won't get too into the theories until the end, I think, 'cause we'll just let everybody get the story and then. But there's the most popular one is built off of just that one conversation there.
Yeah, people have a theory that the whole film is Kevin's brain basically going through the motions of dying and like
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't
Or
know if I
he's
believe that, but
in a coma, and this
In
is
a
all just
coma,
like they're the heavy
I
theories of it.
like those theories, especially after watching Heck, because Heck is so like, okay, this is probably what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there does seem to be a physical or maybe metaphysical, but there does seem to be some entity that is there as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that could also be a metaphor. It could also be meaning for something else. But
I'm
there is something
intrigued to
lurking
hear
in the
theories at the end, because
Well,
I have one.
I don't really have many theories. I just kind of assumed that you guys would maybe have.
I have like an idea of what I
Yeah.
think it is, but I'm gonna wait until the end, because like I want to say it at the end, where because that means I'm not like jumping the gun and being
No,
like, oh,
absolutely,
this.
okay.
But I had like in my head the first time, right? Before I even looked up anything, in my head, this conversation popped into me, and I was like, could it mean this? And then in my own way, the entire way I watched it the second time, I only convinced myself that was what it was. And then that's how I seen the film, and that's maybe even why I probably enjoy it more, because in my head,
was the film better once you had an idea of what you thought was happening?
in more of a it's a lot more depressing to think of it the way I have it.
Oh, all right. We'll get to that then. Okay, cool. No, I look forward to that, and I look forward to being to having some feels. That's cool, bro.
Like it's I think it's a cool theory, but I don't know if it's entirely correct. I think, like Sean said as well, the coma and maybe the dying thing is closer, but I don't know if that's entirely right either.
To me, that fits, except for the entity stuff. Unless there's a dark entity that comes and takes you once you die, that could be around.
That too.
But at this point in the film, I was trying to figure that stuff out. I didn't know if this was happening as I said, is this happening in real time? I didn't know if this was actually happening, or if this is a dream state, or if this is a otherworldly state. Are we in a different dimension right now?
Yeah.
Okay. The kid is walking around now. The camera is still though. We're still on the floor, and we're basically seeing his feet again. He's looking for his dad, and he can talk to his sister though, right? So there's a weird buzz noise, I remember, and that was almost like, oh, is that trying to scare me? What is that? Anyway, it just kind of snapped me more awake, I suppose. So good job, movie. Okay, so I've got a little story here, a little personal story about waking up alone, being alone in like a house.
Oh, we're doing personal story time.
So do we have some? If you guys have any as well, absolutely jump in. So one time, so I used to live in Tunisia, and we traveled a lot in Tunisia. My ex stepdad and my mum and we were staying at it was like a hotel or an apartment or something, right? And it was a place I wasn't really familiar with. And I remember before I went to sleep, I asked my mum to like read me a bedtime story, and my mum was great. She would just make them up on the spot, right? And I remember hearing her voice and her words and being really content, and just, next thing I know, I'm waking up in the darkness in this room I don't really know, and she's not there anymore, and neither is my stepdad, right? And I'm like, oh God, I'm alone. And the sense of dread, like I was just so that that gut feeling in your stomach, it really hit me hard, and I was freaking out. And apparently I cried so loud. I think I'm like a couple of floors up at this point. I then all of the buildings here had balconies, and I heard a knock on the glass. Doof doof doof. And I look at the balcony, which is I'm in the middle of the room. I look at the balcony, and there's somebody standing on the balcony behind the glass door. And then the door opens behind me, which is the other side of the room. And then that's my mum and my stepdad come in. And they see a guy on the balcony. They see me in the middle of the room crying. And what had happened was I had cried so loud that my mum and dad had just went downstairs to get a drink, basically, like at the bar. And a guy on the street had heard me crying and thought that somebody was being killed or something. So he climbed up the side of the building to check that I was okay. Anyway, they see a guy on the balcony. They freak out. They talk it all through. They explain it. All right. That's my horror story.
Oh my god!
That is either the most convenient situation or the best excuse to get away with trying to kidnap somebody I've ever heard.
Yeah, right. So I remember growing up when we hear all this stuff about Madeleine McCann, and I was like, "Fuck, man, that could have been me. That's crazy."
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Sean, you got any spooky stories?
Well, yeah. There was this one time where both when I was younger, like for a long time, it was just me, my older brother, my older sister, and my older sister. So this was before my younger brother Michael was born. So my older brother Philip and I have quite a strong bond because we grew up for a good long while without basically us two brothers. And we used to live in a house where we had a bunk bed, and the bunk bed was on the side of the wall and it faced towards the doorway of our bedroom. And at night time, my parents, similar to your mum, Seb, would leave the hallway light on, just because kids are scared of the dark, And one night, I was in the bottom bunk. Phil was in the top bunk because he's the older brother. He gets to make decisions.
You get the top bunk, yeah.
Yeah, and one night I can't remember who woke up who, but we were both awake in the middle of the night, and like through the crack of the light in the doorway, we saw the shadow of a hand. Like we always describe it as a witch's hand because it looked sort of feminine, had long nails. But we just saw this shadowy hand reaching through the light towards us. And obviously, as little kids, we fucking shat a brick. We started screaming and crying and all that. And like my parents came upstairs and they were like, "What's happened? What's happening?" It's like, "Oh, there was a hand at the door." And they to this day they insist they had nothing to do with it. They had nothing to do with the hand. Maybe now that I'm an adult, I can ask them again and see whether they say something different. If they tried to freak us out for some reason. But yeah, that both me and my brother will attest to this story. Like he remembers it much the same way I do. So it was interesting that we both, not only was it a scary former experience, but it was a shared experience as well between me and my brother.
The
creepy as hell.
group think scare.
Yeah.
Wait, not to say that this didn't happen, but like this kind of stuff, when it can really strengthen a belief when somebody else is there with you to see it.
Precisely, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's really cool, dude. To me, I'm thinking of, tree branches outside and like a shadow or something like that, because I know that in one of my old houses, we had like a tree outside, and the shadow that would come into my room looked like a witch's hand, like a claw almost. So that's what I'm seeing there. But ooh, goosebumps, dude, goosebumps.
Yeah. The thing is, right, like we did have a tree in our garden in that house, but I can't imagine how it would have projected itself in that manner because, like, obviously the curtains were closed, probably, and the light wasn't coming from outside; it was coming from inside.
Yeah.
So it couldn't be projected bad light if it was behind the light. If you get my meaning.
Are your parents want to try and scare you guys?
No, they're not. No, they're not. So it wouldn't make much sense to me either for them to do that. So
What about sisters? Could they have been around? Were they
maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe? I don't know.
maybe
I'd
sisters?
have to ask them.
I mean,
I don't-
girly hands, nails, long nails.
I don't know.
That's some thought though to go up to the light though and do that, right? That's
Mhm.
and then to
Yeah.
get the angle right that you two see it from your beds.
Bear in mind, I was probably only 4 or 5 at this time.
Yeah.
My brother then would have been 7 or 8, and then my older sisters would have been like 11 and 13, I think. So maybe they would have done that. Maybe they could have done that, but again, I don't see them as the kind to do that either. So I don't know.
Rex, does Sean appear to you to have like this giant family? You've known him online for a while now.
Yeah, see, right. I was literally in my own head being like, how many siblings does he have? Every time there's been a conversation about Sean, like, I feel like I gain another family member onto his family every single time. It's like, there's this person, then there's this person. Oh, cool. And then he goes to another person. Oh.
To clear it up, I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
Right.
Okay.
I only have one sibling that's younger than me, and that's my younger brother.
Yeah.
The rest are older. So I'm a family of 5 children.
Jeez.
I couldn't imagine 5 in our house. We'd have killed each other.
What about you, Beck? You've got
I have
is it just
a
you?
great story. Yeah, as well. So that like lines up with me. I've got Callum.
Okay, great.
He's 18 months under us. So we moved from England when I was 6 or 7. I think it was 7, right? We moved back to Ireland because my mum and dad are Irish, both of them, but they moved to England when they were young. Wanted us to come home and experience Ireland and go to school here. So we did a lot of moving around. When we first came in, there was a lot of just random places. We lived with my nan for a while. There was like flats, but my mum and dad ended up getting themselves a house. But we lived beside this guy. So this guy's kind of important to the story. He was kind of a hoarder, but he's like a really kind of gross and dirty man. Like his house was full of old food wrappings and food left out on the ground and newspaper, and it was really, really like a gross place. And it was infested with rats, right? Like really badly infested with rats. So at that time, I think when we finally moved in there, I was like 8, and I was terrified of this man and the rats, and just terrified of rats, like in general at that point, because I'd never seen a rat, I'd never experienced it. But we'd set up in the house, and my dad and me, obviously very big into football, which is why this movie brought up like PTSD levels of fear out of me from this memory itself. Like, we both love football. So dad has a load of little collectible statues and figures. He used to collect them when he was younger, and he put them all into my room as like hey, you love this stuff, so you have it. And whatever way my room was set, there was like it always went gray before it went black at night, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't just go, oh, it's sunny outside, now it's dark. It always had this weird hour or two of gray darkness. And forever I'd be in that room terrified and looking around, and then just like, it's like this movie. My eyesight had started to get worse, and it'd be like film grainy, and everything in the room could make out a shadow of it, but you couldn't exactly tell. And for the life of me, lads, I spent a good 3 or 4 months having this happen to me. I'd be in the room and I could vividly imagine the figures moving and climbing off of the shelves they were on, or I could see like a head of a figure turning to me, and I was like, oh my fuck. And then I'd see, like, I'd be looking around the room to be like, where is there? Nothing. And anywhere I would look then that had a shadow, I was like, there's a rat in that. There's a rat in there. There's genuinely 100% a rat in that shadow, so I can't even look there, right? So for like good 3 or 4 months, and I remember, I don't know if he himself will remember it, but I remember one time being, Callum, like, does this happen in your room? Like, my room,
you asked him,
the freakiest. I was like, does this happen? Like, when you're like, he had a bunch of, I'm pretty sure if I remember right, there was superhero stuff like Hulks and Spider-Mans all around his room. It was like, do they move? Like, he was a 6-year-old and I was like 8, and I'm like, do they move?
You're traumatizing your little brother here.
Literally, I was like, is everything in your room moving? This place is insane. Like, all of my shit is moving. I was just like, I don't know. Like, I'm asleep. I don't give a shit. So I remember then, like, one night, that this is 100% true story, and I only remembered it watching this movie. It brought this memory out of me. One of these terrifying nights, I was lying there, and all of my figures. I'm 8. I'm gonna die. These are gonna come down and get me. These are 100% gonna get me. And then as I'm sitting there looking at, I can actually see a rat on the shelf moving across the back of all of my figures. I'm like, that's not real. Like, there's no way it's real. I'm imagining that.
Yeah.
No, there was 100% a rat in my room that ran across the back of the shelf of all of my figures and genuinely freaked the fuck out of me. So yeah, I've weird connections to this movie of just being in dark places and seeing weird shit moving, and then convincing myself that there's monster football players coming to get me. And
there
then
was
yeah,
an
the worst
actual
thing
rat.
is, it was a no joke actual rat. There was rat like for the entire time we lived in that house because of our neighbor and how just disgusting he was. There was rats everywhere to the point where my mom and dad had to get out of the house. They're like, we can't deal with that. So it was gross. It was terrible.
Man.
Well, yeah, that's a creepy memory I have. So thanks, Sean, for the movie. It brought it out because I completely forgot all about it. And then last night, I think it was like a good hour into the first watch, I paused the movie. I was like, what the fuck am I remembering? And then it all came back.
That's the negative nostalgia. I had my flashbulb memory of this thing happening to me, right? You had that happening to you. Oh, that's so
crazy.
Cool.
But yeah, hey, be careful. There could be monster footballers coming to get any of you, right?
Bex, have you...
them.
I feel like I almost have to introduce Sean to like the listening audience here. Obviously, you know, if you're around, you know Sean, but maybe you're just a viewer of the podcast. This is where you know us. Sean has wrote stories completely to do with rats, horror and rats, and they are fantastic. And I think you need to send Bex one of these stories too.
Please do. Yeah, please do.
I'll send you one.
Yeah.
While we're having our nostalgia trip in the middle of the movie, right? It was mentioned, and now I'm curious. How did the Spooky Means and Friend Krampus meet?
Yeah. Bex said this to me the other day, and he was like, "Oh, I can't wait to get the Seb and Sean backstory, the deepest lore on the podcast." I was like, "How is this going to come up?" It's like, "Oh, okay, all right, I see."
It happens smooth sometimes. Sometimes we just stick a knife in and go, "Tell me the story."
So is it 2006? I think it's 2006.
September 2006. Yes.
We are starting high school or secondary school, and you know everybody's kind of like introducing ourselves to each other. And this, Bex, you know what Sean looks like, right? You have you seen a bit? Yeah. Sean is a very tall. You got fantastic haircut, bro. You got big beard.
Thank you.
Glasses. Anyway,
compliment me more.
When I was so we were young. We just started secondary school. I don't know how much I've changed, bro. But this kid comes up to me, right, and he's got like a shaved head with blonde circles all over it, like leopard print sprayed on to his hair, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hi, my name's Sean. That means John in Irish." and we've been best friends ever since. So Bex, as the Irishman of the pod here with us right now, we're missing one at the moment, but he'll be back. Is that true?
Is Sean John in Irish? Is that what I'm being asked?
That's what you're being asked.
It is. Sean can be used for John, and I think Shane. You can kind of do the trio as the same name. So yeah, he's not wrong.
There we go.
Whoa, hold on a minute. Do you mean to say that ever since September 2006, bro, you have not believed me for this whole time.
Kid's weird.
It's kind of sketchy.
It's kind of sketchy.
Right. No, but like, right. Okay. So there's a massive question that
I took your
I
word for
need
it,
to
dude.
ask.
I took your word for it, but we've got Bex in the call with us, man. So thought double check. Now's the
Sean,
time.
right? Put me in the shoes of 2006, Sean. Right.
All right.
First day of high school. Very small shoes. I'd have to figure that one out. But first day of high school.
Yeah.
Leopard print hair. What was happening?
I wanted to be cool. My older sister Michelle was like, "Oh, do you know what's really cool? Let's put blonde streaks in your hair." So she put blonde streaks in my hair for my first day of school. Wow, Sean, you look so cool. You'll make lots of friends with your leopard print hair that's shaved. That'll be so good. Everyone will want to be your friend. And I made a couple of friends. I met Seb's my friend. He's still my friend now, so it must have worked.
Yeah, dude. I was like, this guy's cool, man. Also, Sean was a tiny kid as well. Like, Sean was not tall until like sixth form hit, and he suddenly started growing. Like you were always smaller than me throughout school until that summer. After that summer, he came back to school. And shit was fucked, man. I went from the tallest in the class because I had my growth spurt early to suddenly being the smallest in the class. I was like, what the hell?
That's crazy. That sounds really nice, though. To think, guys, as well. Like, look, you guys have been friends all that time, nearly 20 years now.
Wait.
Yes, sir.
It's coming up. Think of it.
18 years, bro. 18 years.
18.
That's crazy.
Shit, dude. You know what we should do when it's 20 years? We should shave your head and put some leopard print in there.
Oh, fucking hell, no.
You should do it as well, Seb. Two of you together, leopard print shaved.
We could do it onto your beard as well. That would be cool.
Why?
Stripes.
Why would you want to do that to my beautiful beard?
Thank you.
Oh my god, bro.
Is that the first sneeze of the podcast?
Oh, did I not mute? Fuck.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I think
guys.
that might be the first one.
You're going to have to go and cut that out, bro.
But now we're talking about it.
That's effort.
Right, anyway, Skinamarink, the film we've come to discuss.
Sean, this is what we do every time.
Yeah. We are also, right, we're also closing in on our first little break because I know it's coming up in 2 hours. So, on the 2 hour mark, not in 2 hours. Honestly, this has flown. I actually feel like I've been in recording for 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Me too. Me too. And it's so much better than the movie.
Wow.
We're so mean to the movie.
I know.
Okay.
I enjoyed the concepts and the themes and the ideas. I just didn't enjoy it at the time.
Well, I don't enjoy your attitude, bro. How about that?
All right. How about we take now the break then, since we've had such so we don't disturb it later. Right. We'll be back, guys.
Catch you.
You guys just wouldn't get it, bro. This movie's all about the vibes, dude. It's the vibes, man.
It's literally me.
We're back, by the way. Hello.
Oh, what?
He does this.
You?
So Sean knows. We do it on the Let's Plays as well. So the kid is walking around. He switches the TV back on. And he's watching some good old non-licensed cartoons.
Oh, yeah?
They look like good cartoons, though.
I'll
give it that. They look pretty cool.
Dude's watching Cuphead. I didn't know there was a Cuphead movie. That's crazy. The kid seems to be
Max Fleischer.
Max Fleischit.
Max Fleischer.
Max Fleischer.
What's that?
Bruh. You call it... He's an animator. Dude, how do you not know, bro?
I don't know.
Fake podcast.
Fake podcast.
Seb doesn't know.
Fake. He doesn't know.
Bex, do you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. I know too, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, like Seb knows. Okay, Seb knows. He knows.
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
testing us to see.
We've established that now. Seb knows. Okay?
Yeah.
Seb knows Kino.
Seb knows Kino.
The kid seems to be in the house alone now. He's home alone, right? Is Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
The nightlight has been pulled out of the wall. Earlier one of the kids said like they couldn't sleep with the light on, right? So maybe that's why. A kid is now walking into rooms looking for their dad still. And I marked down.
Kid this time is Kaylee.
Is this Kaylee now looking for?
Yeah, because I took
it's
me
hard
a
to
minute,
tell,
but, like,
right?
Kevin's voice has kind of, I don't want to say like a speech impediment, but there's like a bit of something to it that makes it stand out after a little while where I could tell them apart.
The child just sort of was.
Yes.
Okay.
So like there's a little bit of the way he talks is a little, it even sounds just younger than what Kaylee is.
Whenever I write a kid, it's because I didn't know which one.
Even had the second watch with the subtitles cleared up a lot of that for me too, because it was confusing.
We're only 24 minutes into the movie, and I remember looking at the time being like, what the hell? A kid then I guess Kaylee asks, why is mum crying, right? And then there's a lot more walking around. The kids hear a knocking, and we've still only seen the bottom of them. No full shots, just feet, bottom of legs. There's a lot more room to room going on. A toilet teleports into a room at one point and then vanishes.
You've jumped way forward.
Yeah, that is
huge.
Because it's so much just room to room. No, right?
Yeah, but there's more in between.
Fill in the gaps then, guys.
Right,
Let's go.
Kaylee goes to see that dad is missing, and then not before the toilet disappears, there's like that weird spaceshipy kind of sound, and there's a window on the wall that disappears first.
Yeah,
that goes before the toilet.
The doors are also disappearing throughout as well, which I didn't realize until the end. That like windows, doors, the whole place is kind of like.
The only doors that are missing are the ones that lead outside, not in the house. All of the doors between rooms are still there.
I think anything that leads outside. Later on, we have is it a door goes and he goes, "How did you do that?" You know, does that not happen later on?
Did you watch the same movie as us?
Yeah, I watched Skinamarink. I definitely was phasing in and out though throughout this.
Yeah,
to be fair.
Because the question is.
As I said, I'm probably going to miss a bunch of shit, and you guys should jump in. So this is your time to shine. Let's go.
Yeah, here is where the window and the doors that lead outside disappear. The window, which I thought that was really funny because the window shot like sits there for a minute to be like, it kind of felt like, hey, look, guys, did you notice that the only thing that was on screen just disappeared right now? Like, don't look past
Maybe
this.
I didn't even notice the fucking window, you know? The toilet really stood out to me because, again, like you just said, it's like, it just like pops in and pops out, right? All right.
I don't get how you missed it. It's a good, like, nearly a minute of sitting looking at an empty wall that had a window on it. How did you miss it?
My brain maybe shut off. I was not enjoying this, guys. I don't know how much more I can really say this. I was not having a good time with this film.
Okay, that's fair. I'm trying to see where my notes were now from that.
Yeah.
Again, my notes are like so everywhere. So the windows, we have some other windows and doors just popping out of existence, and then Kaylee wants to know where they've gone. Like she's calling out for dad, and she's kind of curious about where all the stuff that's popping away has disappeared to. And then they get to the phone that's in one of the rooms, and they try to make a couple of calls, and then nobody answers the phone. Right?
Yeah.
And then Kevin, I think here, asks if they can sleep downstairs. And when they get down there, then they start watching TV. So it's like they realize they're alone and that they basically are trapped in this box of a house now because there's no way out. There's no windows to see anything that's outside. There was a cute little moment then when they go down to sleep downstairs where they kind of tell each other that they love each other, and then they get some sleep. And when the kids get up, then that the entire house is still dark. Like there's no light coming in from anywhere. Um,
Okay, yeah.
Literally, my notes are so all over the place here. So, like, it's because it's the way the movie is as well. It's really hard to like do a linear noting fucking scheme for this.
Yeah. No, I mean, we don't have to go beat for beat on anything. I did get real vague with a lot of this stuff, just because trying to get through it, you know.
From here, Kevin asks, "Why has nobody come yet?" And it kind of tells that there's been a bunch of time from them sleeping as well. Like a bit of time has passed where they don't even realize how long it's been.
Yeah.
And Kaylee just kind of replies, "I don't know." They haven't a clue. Which is again, I've been in this situation as a kid. Like my mom and dad disappeared, and my mom and dad's line is, "Oh, we'll be back in an hour," and then we might have seen them for like 6 hours. And
Also,
just
when
be gone
you're a
off on some
kid, an
adventure.
hour can feel like 6 hours. Time moves so slow when you're a kid too.
From here, there's a bunch of banging noises around the house then as well. So this is where the extra like entity kind of stuff starts to ramp up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is where I got into the movie. It's from here where my brain just kind of locks straight in. It's like, right, okay, I'm getting it now.
You were locking in as I was unlocking out.
Like, I don't know. At the beginning of, I can get why you would get kind of checked out because there's a lot of just, we're looking at this wall, we're looking at that now, and there's whatever. But yeah, from here, where the banging, and then there's more shots of the shadows, and you're kind of thinking there is something there. This is where I was like, okay, I'm starting to vibe with it a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's this scene here as well. So they start to investigate the noises, and there's that one chair that's on the ceiling. Like it's upside down on the ceiling.
There's an upside down ceiling. I couldn't tell though if that was on the ceiling or if that was just the camera was upside down as well.
Well, there was like just before they see that there's like a massive bang, and they're like, "What on earth was that?" And then they go there, and obviously
later on we get the doll that's like on the against the wall, and we see that like they're walking on the ceiling at one point as well. You know, so
that's towards the end.
Yeah. I think it's here where Kaylee kind of tells Kevin that they need to stay quiet when they see the chair. I think she says it to him, is like, we need to stay quiet now. And he's like, okay.
So this stuff, because there's two of them, this kind of, we'll talk more theories at the end, like we said, but this kind of pushes away the theories for me that like this is all in Kevin's head. You know what I mean? Because it's the pair of them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah. I think they just kind of talk more here than about where do you think Dad is, and Kaylee hasn't any clue. And then it's here I haven't noted because I thought it would be important, is that Kevin said that maybe he went with Mom.
Okay. Yeah.
So I noted that, like, again, even on the first watch, was like that, especially with the intro that she was only like on the phone. I think that might be important towards the end or whatever.
Yeah. I thought that's probably. Where has Mum gone? Has she left them? Where is Dad? You know, when kids, if you're ever brought up with like parents who are divorcing or something, you know, the kids often think that it's their fault, you know, for no reason and stuff like this.
Yeah,
like, these emotions.
And go Sean, go.
I did get the vibe that like it is actually just their father taking care of them rather than both of them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the person that the dad was on the phone to at the beginning is their mum.
That's what I thought too. Yeah. Like maybe he's got them for a weekend or something and he's calling to say, hey, listen, this happened, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right, you know?
Yeah.
Especially when Kaylee says at one point in the film, I don't want to talk about Mom.
Yeah, that's literally right here as well. That like the reply is like, "Oh, is he gone with Mom?" And she goes, "Yeah, I don't want to talk about it." Yeah. There's so many little seedlings, I should say, of things that could just anybody could run with whatever version of the movie they want to go with, which I think is kind of cool. Kevin, they go to sleep again, and then Kevin wakes up Kaylee as he's got a show or something, and that's now where we've got the part where you were said where the toilet fucking just disappears.
My note here is this Skibbity?
What the
Sean, help, please.
I don't want to be here anymore.
It's the first guest we'll have that'll leave and never come back mid-recording. Is this skivity? You know what? Anybody in the comments, you tell us. Is the toilet disappearing?
Imagine if a
skivity?
head popped out though and was like, "Kevin, we need to save the universe, Kevin."
I fully get why you didn't like this movie, you know.
Not enough skivity. Yeah.
You were expecting a head to pop out of
Yeah,
the toilet.
yeah.
It all makes sense. So what did they do here? So they decide to put buckets into the bathroom
Is that what they're
instead
doing
of using the
there?
toilet. Yeah, because they don't want to use. They need to use the toilet, but they can't use the one that's
okay.
upstairs, right? Why can't I have no note on why they can't use the one that's upstairs?
I didn't know they couldn't use the one upstairs.
Maybe
was
that's
it not
gone
they
too.
didn't want to go upstairs because they
Oh
heard the
yeah,
noises.
yeah.
Is
That's
that
what it
right?
was. There was a lot of banging and stuff, so they didn't want to be up there. So they just said, "Fuck it, let's put buckets in here because we need to use the toilet. Our toilet is
You can
vanished."
definitely read into that, like, you know, if there's like abuse going on and the kids are witnessing that of their parents and they're trying to stay out of the way, you know, stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we get another snooze break, a little Lego play, and this is where the voices from the shadow start to talk to the kids now.
Have they been walking around with the torches yet, or is that later on? That's a bit later on.
I think that's a bit later.
Yeah,
on.
it's later on. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, go on.
Because from here the voices start to talk to Kaylee. They're not talking to Kevin. They're talking to Kaylee, telling her to come upstairs, and of course she does because curious kid. And she finds her father in the bedroom, sitting on the edge of the bed, but the way it's framed is like his back is turned to us, and he's kind of like in the corner of the bed as well. I think this is creepy as hell. Like the fact that you don't like he barely responds to her coming into the room. She's kind of like asking a bunch of questions, and he's just sat there doing nothing. And then he starts to like whisper out replies to be like, "Look under the bed."
Yeah.
And they build attention. Like in any other movie, when she goes to look under the bed after a couple of minutes of like staring there, she'd lift up, she'd look back down, then you'd get a jump scare. But this doesn't give it to you.
Yeah,
I thought the jump scare was cool when she comes back up, which eventually it does. There's like, I guess the scare is that the guy's no longer there, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's more the case of it's more the case of he's gone, but the mum is there.
There's a woman sitting on the bed now, yeah, which is
Yeah,
and she says, "Your father," and then is interrupted by like spooky noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there's like noises from the closet as well, like in the room that they can see it in. It's dark, but you can kind of see that the door is a bit open in the closet. And there's a bunch of noises in there, and then the mother's voice calls out to her and tells her to go downstairs, and then you get another like really creepy noise where she's like moaning in pain, and then there's like bone breaking sounds.
Yeah.
I don't know what to even this part confuses me because I don't know what to even think of it in a like deeper meaning, what way to take it. All I can think of is the monster's just trying to scare Kaylee.
Does she
by just doing stuff to the mother? I don't know.
We love you and Kevin very much.
She does, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so we're around here. Okay, I'm just trying to get a bearing of my notes as well. Then cool. Yeah, the bone crunching noises, the sound work is really good, right? In this film.
Oh yeah, it's very very good.
Yeah.
And then this is where the jump scare that you kind of mentioned is here. Then you get startled by a hand that reaches out around the corner and a loud noise, and then you get cut away. So you get like this. I'd even say it's more of an audio jump than it is even the visual, because the visual is still very dark. You just get a glance at what it is, but it's how loud the screechy kind of sound is that would get a jump out of people.
Which I prefer. I preferred Heck the way that dealt with the build up of tension and the scares in that compared to this.
I agree with you on that one. To be honest,
I thought that was
I'm
a
really
bit cheap,
a fan
honestly.
of jump scares. Yeah, they are cheap.
Yeah, I mean, you can do a jump scare diegetically. Right?
Yeah.
But this it's literally like a sting and then a noise, and then it's not. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's coming from what's happening in the film. It's like outside of it.
And it is like, especially for a movie that does so well of building it up to not do it, to then do some that just don't work well. It's kind of shitty.
That's why again and again it kept happening for me. Where we're all right. We're like 40 minutes in, right? There's finally something interesting happening, and then they ruin it with a fucking, okay, and now we're gonna have to wait another 40 minutes before something happens again. But
because from here, like you just said, we're 48 minutes in now once that jump scare happened. I just marked it because I was like, right, first proper jump scare of the movie is 48 minutes in. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So yeah, then Kaylee heads back down to Kevin. They plan to move the couch to block because we keep seeing this one doorway that leads into a dark hallway. So they want to block that with the couch now.
Yeah.
And Kevin realizes that she's been terrified by something upstairs, so he wants to bring her some juice and asks what's happened upstairs, but she's not going to tell him what happened.
She's hearing her mum or something keep telling her to go back upstairs, right?
I don't know if it's her. I think that's just the entity voice.
Before she went downstairs, did the entity not tell her to... The entity told her to close her eyes, right? And then the screen went black. And then we come back and the mum's gone. And that's when she goes down the stairs and Kevin's still watching the cartoons as well. He's still totally strapped to that. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, you could be right. I don't know. Even on the subtitles, this didn't give me any like voice or name to it. It was just the voice calling back out to her to be like, come back upstairs. There was no thing. So you might be right. It could have been the mother's voice. Could have been just
and
the overall
when
voice.
she walks into the room to see Kevin, where did you go? Is that the entity? Is that Kevin asking Kaylee? Anyway, Kaylee's like, help me move the couch. And I thought they used the couch to get to the counter to grab some juice. Does that...
I think there's another noise of them moving like a wooden chair on the floor to get up to that, because again, she's small and has to get up. Yeah.
Yeah, the couch is to keep the voices out.
Yeah, to keep whatever's out there out, yeah. And Kevin asks what's happening upstairs, right? And this whole time, by the way, guys, we don't have focus on any of these characters. The camera's constantly cutting from corner shot of the living room, carpet, TV, ceiling, door frame, you know, this entire time, everything we're describing, that's what the camera's looking at.
Like I had mentioned earlier, the shots of the back of both the parents is actually the first time in the movie you see a person on the screen other than feet and legs.
Yeah.
Like that's an actual mold of a person sat in them scenes for the first time in the whole movie. The rest of it is, like Seb said, there's feet or legs or corners or Lego or the TV or
you can see
whatever
why this is
there.
like the perfect movie to film during COVID.
Yeah.
You don't need people, you know?
Yeah.
So from here, then we do cut to Kevin wakes back up after going to sleep again, and Kaylee's not with him anymore. So the voice then starts to talk to Kevin to tell him to go into the basement to see what's happening, come down into the basement. And I think that's... Yeah, it is.
I've started to talk about that voice as the sussy voice to differentiate it.
Sussy voice.
Sussy voice says, come to the basement.
It is here then, right, where I think Kevin finds Kaylee, but he's like asking her if she's okay, trying to get her to talk, and then when we get another like reveal, she's got no eyes or mouth. It's just her there, but she's got no eyes or mouth anymore.
I feel scared.
Yeah, there's the muffled.
I feel strange.
I think that's cool. Like, with everything that's going on, it's really like, it's creepy, and the fact that she's still able to try to talk without having them out, it's kind of cool.
It's very creepy pasta, and then the guy with the hyper realistic eyes and the blood comes through the TV. And then I returned to the video store, and the video store didn't exist, and the toilet's now gone, you know. All right, guys, favorite creepypasta. Let's go. What we vibing with?
That's caught me off guard because there's so many. Just I don't know. Like, it's so easy to just go, oh, the Slender Man was so cool back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Like, remember Jeff the Killer?
Go.
That was one as well.
Sleep.
I don't know. Do you have one yourself, Sim?
I have two that come straight to mind. One is Pen Pal. It's by Dathan Albarn, and I love it so much. I bought it. It was so loved that people crowdfunded it, and it turned into. It's actually a book that you can buy. It's an incredible. It's one of my favorite books that I own. if I have any gifts to give to somebody, I give somebody this book because I think it's so cool. It's about a little kid. You know, when you're young and you put your head against the pillow and you can almost hear like the beat of your blood, right? And it almost it's like footsteps, right? Boom, 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 boom. Well, this kid goes to sleep every night and he hears that, and he keeps waking up out of his bed, right? And it follows him throughout his life, and just all of these weird things happening to him, like at different stages in his life. And you're wondering, and like the thing is something supernatural happening? Does he have a stalker? Like, what is occurring? What is happening? And it affects not only him but the people around him until he's like a grown up. And it's also dealing with his mum knew something was happening to him as a child, and she tried to protect him by not ever explaining what is happening. And the book's just so well done. I adore it. So Pen Pal, that started off as a creepypasta, as a bunch of different stories that this guy turned into like one story. And then Dogscape.
Yeah.
Dogscape.
Oh my god.
Do you remember Dogscape, guys?
Yeah.
World is dog. Everything is dog. It was like body horror, world horror. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
Those are my two. You've got really deep negative nostalgia story. I'm sorry, Bex, I just love that story so much. Of like what's happening to this kid growing up, and then Dogscape. Those are my two faves.
Have you got any, Sean?
Of course I do. Of course I do. One of my favorites, I think, also dog related, is Smile Dog.
Oh, Smile Dog's good.
Smile Dog.
I like Smile Dog. I like that story. I put Smile Dog in my videos every now and then.
You do. I've seen Smile Dog in your video. I've seen Smile Dog in our videos.
Yeah. And the other one that I quite like is Candle Cove.
Yes. I love Candle Cove.
Good.
I love that one.
Candle Cove.
Now that we've said it, I've racked my brain, and I think when I say this one, Seb's probably, if he knows it, he's going to be like, yeah, that just makes fucking sense. Russian sleep experiment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we know.
It was racking my head. I was trying to think. I was like, I know what it is. So I just had to look it up. I love that one. And Candle Cove as well. I love Candle Cove. God, that was great.
Dear Abby as well for me. That was real creepy. Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
It's about a guy who's obsessed with a girl, and he's writing all of these letters to her, and then you're like, oh no, the last letter is written by her. Like, oh, he's done something awful. Yeah,
I've not seen that. I'm going to save that one on my phone here.
Yeah,
check it out after.
Those stuck with me. Those ones. Sean and I used to frequent the different forums and the different YouTube areas, spaces of creepypasta stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
There was some really good ones. Like, again, we mentioned it earlier, our era kind of had all of that coming out as YouTubes and forums and stuff when we were younger. There was really cool ones that, like, I'd have loved to have seen some turned into big movies now. Well, unlike the one that we did get, like Slenderman, but...
Oh, that was bad. I want to see a Ben Drowned movie, please.
Is that the Zelda one?
The Zelda one? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Go look all of these up. What
Ben
was
Drowned.
great, though, was there was this huge push for young people to get into writing. Right?
Yeah.
That's what the creepypasta movement kind of did. It was very cool, and it's a period of time which we haven't had since, as far as I'm aware. Well, actually, no. Saying that, now we have Backrooms and the all of that. Was it SCP, that stuff? Like, yeah.
It's kind of carried over to the younger generation into
FNAF
more
theories.
Yeah,
you know, like all of that stuff. Yeah, it kind of continued to. Okay.
I remember even my final English exam was very like inspired by a bunch of creepypastas at the time. I remember that. I can't remember exactly what I wrote about for my English like finals in school, but I remember just when I came up with the idea of it, I was like, yeah, I've just spent like 2 weeks reading and listening on YouTube to so many creepypasta stories. I'm just going to write something that's on that level for my English exam, and I did all right. I did okay.
Sean and I would send each other short horror stories back and forth, and now Sean has a degree in writing and is published. So
Yeah,
there we go, bro. You're still doing it.
I'm still there. I'm still doing it.
Sean, the king of creepypastas. Right. Again, to try and figure out where we were. Kaylee's face. I anytime we've wrote stuff, I'm so easy to catch back up where we are. But for this movie, it's like any paragraph, it starts with there's a dark shot, there's a wall, or Kevin is talking, or Kaylee's talking. I have to figure out where I am.
I mean, that's a bit quite a lot like how disjointed memories can be, you know.
True.
When you try and think back.
But yeah, we were on Kaylee's like face, and there's a jump scare here as well. There's like a loud, obnoxious like noise that comes with the reveal of her face. It's kind of cool though that even the people in the house, like you said, is it the two of them are in the house experiencing this together? So whatever is messing with Kevin can even mess with Kaylee as well, or is Kaylee kind of like something he's created, and then whatever is doing this can just get away with messing with that too, which kind of adds another layer of weirdness to this movie.
Is this a murder suicide? Is this are these all ghosts that are still attached to this place? They can't move on, like in the previous one. Heck,
this scene I'm gonna kind of get. I want to know what you thought of it. Well, both of you, because this confused the fucking shit out of me. So the voice tells Kevin to go to sleep, right? And then he instantly just drops and goes to sleep. And then we have this scene of the cartoon on the TV of like a little rabbit constantly squeezing himself out of existence, and it just keeps looping and cutting back and then going, and it's just him, and it's like a whistle
it's hard to tell
noise
what was
that
happening
happens
with the rabbit on the screen.
I think like I feel like it's important to understanding what the hell is going on, but I just don't. Like we sat watching it for ages.
Is this the time looping here? Is this the passing of time that he's watched this so many times now? Is this the deterioration of the space? Yeah, what is this?
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Sean?
Well, yeah, there is an element of sort of time looping, but I don't think it's looping in the literal sense. I think it's the same day replaying over and over, but time still progresses, because like towards the end of the film it says, oh, it's been X amount of days, so I think certain events are replaying, but not in a strict sense, if you get my meaning.
During the cartoon watching, the sussy voice whispers Kevin, and then Kevin says hello like back to it.
Yeah.
And you ever been like alone in like darkness and like no sound? You start to like, it's almost like you can hear your own thoughts, you know, like they get louder, and the sussy voice tells him to sleep. The cartoon's he's back again. The cartoon's still repeated. Bunny, teddy bear disappearing. There's a teddy bear bunny as well that's mirrored with the TV. So the cartoon is showing the rabbit, and then he has a bunny teddy bear that disappears as well from the floor. Right?
Was it a rabbit or was it a snake?
I saw a rabbit, and I thought that's why it was a rabbit in the cartoon.
I honestly, I have a question mark beside it because I didn't know if it was a snake or a rabbit. I couldn't tell. So
interesting.
Either could be true. I had no idea. Yeah. It looked like a snake, but also could have been a rabbit. No idea. Like there's so much in this movie that's just confusing.
I don't seem to remember a snake.
It would make more sense if it was a rabbit because the cartoon was a rabbit, but maybe I'm only thinking it was a rabbit because the cartoon was a rabbit. Yeah, maybe there was both. No idea.
Maybe there's different versions of this movie, and mine had a snake and yours had a rabbit.
We're an hour into the film. That would be creepypasta territory. Everybody watches it as something different.
It is here then where the voice tells Kevin it wants to play.
But Kevin gets more Lego out, right?
Yeah.
Because he's bored. And then, yeah.
Whatever is messing with him is taking half of his toys away as well.
We're constantly hearing the clicking of bricks being put together because we don't see Kevin playing with them, but we're hearing him clicking the bricks together.
Yeah.
Or whatever is wanting to play is clicking the bricks together.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing about the thing asking Kevin if he wants to play, it sort of puts into doubt whether Kevin actually fell down the stairs or he was pushed at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems at the beginning that he was playing hide and seek with someone, then he accidentally fell down the stairs. And a voice comes, like at the beginning of the film, the voice is subtitled on the screen, much like the mysterious voice is.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I wonder, because obviously this whatever this entity is has a playful spirit about it. Maybe it did that intentionally, pushed him down the stairs to sort of set this whole thing off.
Oh, we get very very ghost stories here, right?
My only reply I can give is I cannot wait to drop my theory on you at the end and see what you think. What you're saying, it's in me, and I'm like, oh my god, he's kind of on the same wavelength as me.
That's cool. That's cool. Maleficent entity. Maybe kid thinks it's an imaginary friend to begin with, and trips him up. That's dope. It's very Conjuring vibes, you know, those kind of vibes, those earlier Conjuring movies. Oh god, I've just had a sudden memory though, guys.
Well,
of like one of the funniest experiences in a cinema I've ever had. Right. Sean and I went to see Annabelle 2, the second one, where it's a prequel. It's set in like an old American house, and there's a bunch of orphan girls, and they're getting tormented by like some spirits, right? And there's one who she can't walk very well. She's got an illness. I can't remember what it was. And she has to get on a stair lift, right? Because this demon's chasing her, right?
On a stair lift?
Yeah. She's on like one of those, you know, like old people sit on them and it'll move up the stairs slowly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She's on one of those and she's just seen a demon under the stairs and she's freaking out and the whole cinema is completely quiet. Everybody's like totally intense, right?
Yeah.
And then she thinks she's safe. The stair lift stops and then just projects her into the air. It's like an ejector seat. And Sean and I burst out laughing. We lost our shit. And the entire cinema, it's like everybody turned around and looked at us and we just couldn't stop laughing.
That's so fucking funny.
But it was though. It was funny at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
I have like one of those as well. Just a quick jump in as well. We were watching, I think, The Conjuring 2 in cinema. So
that's my favorite Conjuring
friends.
Of the Conjuring movies. By the way,
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But we had a few of like friends that we hang around with, like from school and whatever. And I think there must have been like 4 or 5 of us, and the cinema was packed. Like this was peak cinema times where our cinema would be absolutely swamped. And I remember a chair moves across the room in that scene, in that film at some point. It just it's not a scary scene. It just moves. And the entire cinema freaked the fuck out. But I don't know why, impulsively, I just went, it's just a fucking chair. And everybody, you could feel everybody looking at me. And all the lads were laughing. Like they got why I was annoyed.
Yeah.
But everybody was like, it's just a fucking chair.
It's so funny. Bringing up those movies, though, that is the most literal version of this, right? There's nothing else to think about it. In those movies, it is a ghost, right? In real life, that wasn't the case. Ed and Lorraine Warren were huge fucking awful people, con artists. Yeah, no good. But the ideas are fun, at least, and they're fun movies. But yeah, remember, they're shitty people. And in those movies, it's actually the devil, like, trying to kill them, right?
Yeah,
or demons and stuff like that. Whereas in this, what is it? The fun of this movie is not watching it. It's talking about it. It's afterwards. Yeah. Okay. Where the TV starts acting up again. I think this is our first real wide shot of the room as well, where the kid is breathing really heavily now. He sounds like he's struggling, and if I've missed anything out, come back in here, but you'll get a bearing for where we are now, because Mr. Skinny Minx says, "Put the knife in your eye." Right?
Yeah, you're right there.
Yeah. The kid starts crying. There's blood on the cabinet. So he's doing what the thing's telling him to do. There's more lingering shots of the TV again. The camera now zooms into the TV. I don't remember it zooming very much, but that's happening. The cartoon music gets more and more messed up as the kid's panting gets heavier. And I wrote at this point, I don't think we're going to get any answers in this movie. I think it's all up to interpretation.
Yeah.
More lingering shots. And so that was me accepting, Sean, the ending that was going to come. Yeah. So we get more lingering shots. We get the back of a girl's head, and then toys on the floor as a phone is beeping off the hook. And I wrote, "Remember landlines?" So that used to be a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Then the phone beeps because somebody's using it, and they call the police.
Yeah. 911.
"I hurt myself, and I feel sick. Is anyone in the house with you?" "No." The kid says he's 4 and that he's bleeding. The guy asks the kid to stay on the phone. He says he's going to find... He says that the kid's fine and he's going to send some grown-ups. He asks why the kid is whispering. "I'm downstairs by the door that's gone." The door's gone? Phone gets dropped onto the floor. Sussy low-pitched noises. But they sound a bit... It's a bit like when you fuck around with your mic, you know? I feel like that's always an issue whenever, you get like these horror movies or it's demons. It's like, oh, you've just pitched the voice down, right? This one just feels like the odd mic setting. More shots jumping around the house. The static is crackling. And I feel like the fuzz, the sound of it. So we've been seeing the static throughout the movie, and it seems to be getting heavier on the screen. But it's always been pretty heavy on the screen. But now we're really you can hear the fizz, right? Which
is nostalgic as well, because remember,
if you used to go close to a TV,
TTRs, you would hear
TTR
TVs, or I had a full air of, when you put your hand on it, you could feel the fuzziness of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's that, and even last night, I could have it. I felt it on my hands as I could hear I could remember what it felt like to just put your hand up against that TV. It was weird as hell.
That is cool though. The kid did seem to be able to reach the outside world there, right?
Yeah.
That, which is his first time like doing that, and the guy genuinely sounds worried for him, right?
Yeah.
But like you said as well, so you kind of realizing that the ending was going to be open. A scene like this, it's really like, it's sad and it's upsetting, but I also get confused because then like what rules are set in the house, I suppose, the world of the house.
We're not really following
rules because if he's locked in the house, and there's no way out, and there's nobody there, and now Kevin's by himself, who was he on the phone to, or was it just the house messing with him, or did he actually get through to anybody?
Well,
and we don't really get an answer to that either, do we?
The phone does transform into a toy phone.
Yeah.
Eventually, so there is an implication there that it was just the spirit messing around with him.
True.
I also thought that could have been a phone call from before he's had his accident. Like maybe this was his cry out for help before whatever. Like maybe that is when he fell down the stairs, he's bleeding, right? Is there anybody in the house with you? Is like the doors, like the kid doesn't know what's happening, right? But maybe that's from the past. See, there's so many ways you can interpret any of this stuff.
Also, that fake toy phone is the biggest bait to a movie I've ever seen in my fucking life as well before watching this. right?
What do you mean?
Because it's the only shot of this movie I'd ever seen.
Because it's one of the
Before, and it's the
only
only one that's
interesting
supposed
things to visually look at.
It's
That
not.
and
It's not. Look.
the blue house, you know, from the outside, or the kid on the carpet, but you never actually see that. That was in the poster shots.
That's in the movie, Seb. That shot is in the movie.
All right. All right.
That shot is literally in the movie.
The kid on the carpet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
That's
there's a lot of kid on the carpet, but you know the long
And
shot with
upside
the
down.
door and upside down? Is that there?
Yeah, that's in the movie.
Oh, right.
There's a shot where he's there.
Are you sure you've seen this film?
Yeah,
bro?
I think you might have just fell asleep midway through and caught the sounds of it.
To be fair, guys, this is an hour and 40 minutes, remember, of constant staring at one thing and then just cutting to another thing and staring at one thing. This is not a pretty movie to look at.
It's fine. It's okay.
Also, you guys watched this like last night, right?
Night before.
And Sean last night. I watched
Me
this
last
last
night,
week. So my memory is not as strong as you guys'. Okay.
Well,
That's why you write the notes.
I've been writing notes.
You have, but you can't put it down to memory when you've written notes.
I've wrote notes down. I've wrote lots of notes.
But anyway, toy phone.
Maybe I'll have that in my notes later on, Bex. Maybe it'll be there.
That is possible.
it's
That
We
is
Know
true.
Kino, not We Notes Kino.
We notes. Yeah. You can't know everything. You got to enjoy the film as well. Like, you can't. You
Yeah.
That's also true, but you
Yeah.
didn't. So that doesn't work here either.
Didn't do either.
But yeah, like
yeah.
Sean said, the voice then takes the phone and turns it into a toy phone. And like I was just saying, like everybody made this out to be some kind of like spooky ghost horror thing and used this phone as like when they were talking about it, it's like, oh my god, the scene is so creepy and it's so scary. It was cool. It was a cool scene, but it baited me
More
so
towards
bad.
my point, Bex. This is just the odd thing that you can talk about. Like, this is the most popcorn thing you can talk about in the movie.
It's fair. That's
You
fair.
know what I mean? So this is why
Yeah.
people would talk about this. Whereas we're breaking it down, going scene for scene. You actually really do see the intricacies, and that's fun. But if you were to make like a 10-minute YouTube video on it, you'd probably focus on like this bit, the 911 scene, you know, the under the bed scene, because that's the stuff that really stands out. And that was my problem, where we have these scenes that are really good, but like I also said, just constant staring into the dull void. Yeah.
Just while we're on the phone part, the voice tells Kevin, when Kevin asks how he turned the phone into the toy phone, he responds to saying, "I can do anything."
Yeah.
Kaylee didn't do what she was told. She said she wanted her mum and dad, so I took her mouth away. Bruh.
It's creepy as hell. It is
Kevin,
creepy.
come upstairs. And
The voice is telling him it's going to protect Kevin as well here.
is that what he says?
Well, it's telling him that I will protect you. And then this is where Kevin finds himself on the ceiling.
Yeah, he switches his torch on, walks up the stairs. He's now on the ceiling. The voice says, keep going. He goes into the room and Kevin's like, can I go back now? The light switches on and it's like a tiny room filled with his toys and the radio. Right?
Yep.
It's definitely shot. It's like shot in a cupboard or something. Where we're still upside down though, and then we've got subtitle 572 days. We've jumped so far ahead. Radio starts again. The room that we're in is extremely long and thin, and then you're like, oh, we're doing the Trainspotting 2 ending shot where we're tunneling right now. Right? It's the room is stretching and we're getting further and further away from it, and it's like an impossible room. Cut back to the bedroom with Mum facing away again, and then she slowly disappears. It's almost like she fizzes away with the grain, right?
That shot's really cool because I don't know if you guys had seen it or if this was just a me in my head thing, but the way the shadow is on the wall as well where she's there, I could nearly have guaranteed there was a person stood there as well because it looked like a head and a shoulder being stood with her. So when she's like phasing out, the way the shadow is there with her, it kind of looks like there's an extra head.
I
and
felt
a
like there
shoulder
was somebody
over
else
her.
burnt into the wall behind. Like,
Mm,
yeah. Distorted kid noises now.
Yes.
TV is really fuzzy. It's switching on and off. We see a shot of the house now surrounded by the blue mist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. During all these cuts, though, there's a really cool scene as well. There's like these weird, greeny kind of looking eyes in the dark. Like it's just a dark shot with these like eyes looking at you, but when a light clicks onto it, it's just the phone that's there.
Oh yeah.
Like the little toy phone is there, and then they click the lights back off, and it shows those like weird, grey, greeny kind of looking eyes in the dark again, and then it cuts to, as Seb is saying, we get some of the
There's a jump scare at that point, though, isn't there? Like that really, like, because I've seen the film more than once, but that still got me the second time. I forgot that actually happened. Like,
the noise when it goes back to the phone.
Yeah, like
yeah,
and that's the thing about the film in general. And there's a bit at the very end that sort of reinforces this, is that like the fact that it is all dark, and we touched on this before. You look into that darkness and you see the film grain and stuff like that, and you don't know whether you've seen something in the dark. Like, oh, is there a face there, or am I just imagining it? You know.
A lot of this scary. I said this again talking to Zach last night. I think a lot of the scariness that comes from this is your own head fucking with you in those dark moments as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like what happens when you're young and you're in the dark, and I love that. Yeah. Maybe not even young; it can still happen to you. You know, the fear of the dark is innate in all of us to a certain extent. Yeah, it's a cool movie to get into. The shot with the house, I've like, you know, I've been doing lots of Photoshop my whole life and trying to make creepy pictures and stuff. Like, yeah, I really liked that, and I was like, it would have been cool with more of this, like just more things that were pleasant to look at. But I get that's also probably the artist, the director, the writers, the cinematographers' aim is to have these pieces stand out a lot more by showing you the mundane and the dour for so long. So now we're back with somebody in the house. I guess
just before that, though, while the shots of the house are happening, there's a bunch of pictures of people and kids, and all of their faces are missing or they're distorted or something is wrong with the pictures. So while it's cutting around, it's just that because I just wanted to mention that part because it's in my ending theory part, so I didn't want to just leave it out.
I've got that a little bit later on, but yeah, I once did an edgy project at college where I photoshopped the eyes and mouths out of famous paintings.
That sounds creepy as
like
hell.
You know the painting of American Gothic with the two farmers standing outside there.
Yeah.
No mouths, no eyes. Yeah, so like again, it's all cool imagery. What I found cool 10 years ago, you know, when I was really into my creepypasta stuff, when I was at college, you know, doing all of this. So it's all of this stuff, and even like the long form different shots moving around. I made student films like this, so it is very much like I can almost see the creative process behind it, and I can get into that. But I think maybe because I've lived it as well, that I'm also like, more of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've also I've worked in galleries and I've seen just like people trying to put explanations to stuff that just obviously isn't there as well. With this, I feel like, even though I thought when we started, I was like, it's very ambiguous. It is ambiguous, but like there is obviously a lot of substance to it, right? There's a lot of substance underneath when you dig and you find, and that is cool because a lot of people, they'll make a piece like this and it really is thin, right?
Yeah, like I can see what somebody could have made this movie and you'd have watched it and there'd be nothing to dig into, nothing to like drag out of it as a conversation. You could have just had a movie where you're just looking at a bunch of stuff. A kid is getting messed with a ghost in the house.
I'm sure that's probably what half of the audience saw when they watched this film, right?
Yeah.
And that's why
most
it's
movies
so
like this
split. Yeah, sorry, go
like
on.
yeah, a general audience will go in. That's why I could not imagine this in the cinema. A general audience will go in because they've seen it on the internet that this is the like Unilad page. This is the scariest movie of all time this year for the 5th time. You know what I mean? Like Unilad do it every movie. It's like this is the scariest movie of the year.
This is the scariest new movie on TikTok. This
So
is
they go to check
TikTok's
it out.
scariest new film, because this was picked up on TikTok where lots of Zoomers was, seeing just shots from this, in 10 seconds, and you see 10 seconds worth of cool shots from this. You go watch the movie, like it's an hour and 40 minutes of just staring at a wall. What the fuck?
Because again, sitting in the cinema for an hour and 40 minutes, as somebody that probably your favorite movie is like a horror movie is probably like Scream, and then you're going, oh, the internet told me this is going to be scary, I'm going to go see it. You're not going to vibe with it at all. So I don't know how this was a cinema movie that
it is
happened.
Funny that like that. Before Sean and I and Zach, we recently went to go see Longlegs. Mm-hmm. We're walking into the cinema. There's a big poster outside the cinema saying the scariest movie of the past decade.
Yeah.
And Sean, you hated it. Zach fell asleep. I had a great time.
It's the worst tagline that a horror movie like promo can do, is saying you're the scariest movie of the year or the scariest movie of the life. You don't do it because you're putting people in with this unbelievable sense of I'm getting a movie that's going to terrify me, and then you're going to probably come out of it being like, even if you liked it, once that line is there, you went in because you got
by
it.
the way, but yeah,
you'll come out being like, it wasn't what I was told it was. It's not the scariest movie and then you start comparing it to movies that you do. The tagline of the scariest movie of the year is one of the fucking stupidest things, but it just gets people to go to the cinema. It spreads the movie out. That's why movies like Longlegs or this got money and audiences when they probably wouldn't have. People
is it
talked
still
about
your
it.
favorite movie of the year? Longlegs, by the way.
Yeah, I think so. So far, I think so. Yeah.
Oh.
But right, Sean, we've said this, like, and I said to Seb when I seen it, and he backed me for this, I will fully understand anybody that doesn't like it, but before going into it, it just started to talk to me as this is a movie for you, and that's why I like it. But I came out of it as well knowing it's not going to land with a lot of people.
Yeah,
the same way like with this, you enjoy it, I have a liking for it, and Seb completely hates it. It's the same with Longlegs. I knew coming out of it I was going to like it. Some people will only enjoy a little bit of it, or Nicolas Cage is going to be funny for the TikTok people, and then there's going to be people. You know what I mean?
You put Nicolas Cage in it for 5 minutes so you can use him on the TikTok promo.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's for every type of movie that it was just made for me. It's my kind of thing. It scratched my brain enough that I loved it when I came out of it. But yeah, we will talk about Longlegs at some point. I do want to do it. It's just I don't want to have recency bias going into it either. I want to give it a little bit and then maybe watch it another time and be like, right, what did I actually feel as well?
I'm with you on that. I don't think it'll hold up as well when I'm not on substances. I don't know, and I know where the story is going.
And having seen TikTok memes of Nicolas Cage now, I think I'm going to have to like go into it knowing that they exist. And
I've avoided all of those.
You're lucky because there's people doing like makeup tutorials to look like Longlegs now. It's really weird. What
the fuck?
Sean and I aren't on TikTok as viewers. I post on there, but I'm not a viewer. In fact, Zach uses my TikTok, so my For You page is all shit that he's been checking out.
Me and Callum have done honestly, we've probably done this for the last 2 years, right? I go on a Sunday to have dinner with the family. Like, we just do a Sunday dinner together, and me and Callum will gather TikToks for each other all week long to show each other on Sunday when we meet up. That's what we actually do. Like, no joke, that's what we do. We go into Callum's room, we just show each other TikToks on a Sunday.
It can be endearing.
I really don't. I don't know why
to show each other memes. We love sharing memes. You know, it's an endearing thing. It's very nice.
We're just weird. Two of us are just fucking odd.
We'll have to get him on the pod eventually. Dude.
I've said it, like he'll listen to this eventually and heard it. I've said it to him. It's just mainly I think with work and stuff he wasn't ready to come on so soon, but maybe if I could get him around Christmas time to come in and talk about a particular kind of movie.
That would be cool if we talk about like Christmas movies, and because Christmas movies you often watch with the family. So to have like your brother there, that'd be cool.
I think we should cover. I'm only saying this is a joke. Nobody kill me. And Callum, when you listen to this, please don't kill me. But the Star Wars Christmas special at Christmas would be the perfect mix.
That can't be the first Star Wars movie we do, can it?
I think it'd be perfect.
Which
Christmas
one? There was
time.
two. There was two. Caravan of Courage and fuck, I can't remember the other one's name.
I don't know what the other one is. I think that one is the one I'd probably lean towards. I can't remember the name of it though. But there you go. Look, it's the perfect. He loves Star Wars. You love Star Wars. Christmas. Boom.
They're terrible, but I'd still take those over any of the more recent shit. Okay, so
back to Skinamarink again, but we're nearly done with Skinamarink. It's we've a little bit to go.
I was talking about I think the kid's in the house and he's got his torch, but he keeps switching it on and off, or he's walking around and something else is switching the torch off and he has to then switch it on, right?
Yeah, it is a lot of flashing of the light. But
to me, because it's constantly on click, 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 to me it almost felt like when you're trying to conserve your batteries in a survival horror game.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I can look in front of me for a little bit. All right, switch it off.
I actually have it in my notes here that from like the entire movie, I actually have to say this as well, but mainly here, epileptic nightmare. Because between the TV going crazy and him flicking the light constantly, like my entire room looked like it was getting flashbanged when I was watching the movie.
We all sat in the dark, right, and watched this.
Yeah. Like it was dark, then light, then dark, then light, and then it kept cutting to the TV, and it was like it wasn't even like a TV fuzz. It was like a flickering at this point. Anytime it was on the TV, and it was really like just obnoxiously like bright.
Between the switching of the torch or flashlight, I should say for American viewers as well, on and off, the room changes as well, right? And I was wondering if maybe that's why the kid's doing it. It's like, what's going to happen if I switch this off and switch it on? Is there going to be something there, right? Now the toy phone rings really loud. So we get toy phone jump scare. And Bex, maybe you can correct me on this. The sussy voice is back. And I heard him say, hug me. But maybe that's not what it said.
I didn't have that on any of the quotes, so maybe you heard. I didn't have it written down, but
it wasn't in like subtitled or anything. It was just kind of like a noise in the. It sounded like hug me.
If you heard it, that's what you heard. I'm not even going to tell you you're wrong. If that's what. 100%.
More lingering shots and more distorted sussy whispers that I couldn't tell what was being said in those.
Even the closed captions didn't have these ones at
right,
all.
Okay.
Yeah. This was just, I remembered, like, I turned it up. I had headphones on the second time, and I was even trying to pick up. There was very little to pick up those words.
Put it backwards, and I was trying to figure it out, and I couldn't get it.
No. So I think it's just mumbling.
We see a doll with no eyes here. And this is where we see the pictures of the kids and their heads are distorted. Like sometimes the heads just aren't even there, right?
Yeah, no, I must have just cut the doll part out and just wrote the note about the heads.
It's like you didn't see the movie, Bex. What the hell, man?
I just didn't know the doll at all. I didn't write it.
By the way, we don't share notes before we ever do any of this stuff. We just go into it without discussing the film. We try not to discuss the film before we even record the podcast.
We just make little comments during the week about, have you seen it? What do you think in vague terms? And then that's about as much as we know.
Bex asked me to pull a face on stream to explain how I felt about it. We see the carpet from upside down, right? And then there's a scream, and then there's blood splatting onto it.
Yeah.
And now this
was confusing again.
This is like what happened with the cartoon earlier, where it was constantly repeating. Now the blood is doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, because it's repeating like clean rug, TV. Blood, clean rug, blood, yeah.
Kid says, "Mommy."
Also, wait, just before that, because you've made the connection and now it's connected to me as well. the same music that played while the rabbit was doing the loop plays while that blood is happening as well.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So it's the same. Yeah, I'd only connected it there because I was like, I put it down. The same music plays, but now it makes sense.
I wrote down the cartoon sounds are playing.
Yeah.
Also, so this is very much, I think, for a lot of people, maybe not you, Sean, after what you said earlier, but this is really going to freak some people out, because the idea that kids are invincible in movies and media, like, it's taboo to hurt a kid, right? There's that famous who's the guy who did the House of the Dead movie? Was it Wes Ball or something like that? What was he called? He was doing
I don't remember his name.
You know, the guy who made all those shit video game movies back in the day?
We talked about these during one of our episodes.
Uwe Ball. That's him, right? Uwe Ball. And he was doing a movie, and they were like, yeah, they said I can't kill kids, but so I killed 100 of them. It's like in the film, right?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because that was one of the reasons I kind of liked the first It remake film so much.
Yes.
Because they were like, oh, we'll kill Georgie on screen. We'll rip his arm off. I don't give a shit.
Horrifying, right?
Yeah.
I love it as a book, and I love the original. And I honestly, another cinema experience that I'll never forget is Dad's a big horror fan as well, like me. And Callum and Dad went to see the It movie, and the minute Georgie's arm got torn off, my jaw like physically dropped. I was like, there's no way in the opening of a movie we've just seen Georgie get like his arm torn off, and like right there I was like, they've already just done enough for me to be like, I'm in for this movie. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the first one. The second part I've still not rewatched ever since seeing it in cinema.
Honestly,
I like the first part.
Like the original made for TV movie as well. Where the first part is so much
the first part is better. Yeah.
I think I prefer the made for TV movie, honestly, but like I like
part one a lot.
Yeah,
I like a lot what they do with it. It's like, again, I like the original a lot, and I think Tim Curry does a lot for people who are terrified of clowns. I'm sure a lot of them can blame him, but I think just as somebody that really loves the books, what they did with the part one of the remake was really good and really close to it, and then the second part decided to become a comedy movie and do a bunch of stupid shit.
Prequels,
which I'm
coming out.
It doesn't need to exist, but I'll check it out.
Stephen King stuff. It would have been cool to see George A. Romero's It. It's a big George head. That would have been fun. I would have liked that. The torch then switches on, and it's pointed at the TV, and he says, somebody says, can we watch something happy? It's either Kevin or maybe that's Kaylee's voice now.
No, that was Kevin's.
That's Kevin's voice. Okay, so is he just talking to the entity then?
Yeah.
There's a cool shot of the door in the darkness with the blue mist, and I've wrote here that I wish the film did more of these shots. It's pretty dope. Although this is the most like obviously, because everything else is so analog, it's so physical, real, like in the way it's filmed, even though there's weird stuff happening. These shots really stand out as, oh, that's like a photoshopped image. You know what I mean? So we get that. There's a face in the darkness. That
I think this scene is the best one in the whole movie. Last bit.
It doesn't seem to have any eyes or a mouth. What, this bit here? Or the...
Like I think this last bit here is the face in the room where it's just the face there and yours there. I like after watching the whole movie and kind of getting the creepy vibe of it, this part at the very like end of the movie, I actually grinned at, because it's like, you know what, it got me. This is where like it fully got me here.
For me, I was fully out. This was like, oh, this is just YouTube creepypasta bullshit, where he literally says, "Go to sleep," right? And I'm like, oh, Jeff the Killer, and I'm like, oh, I've done edgy Photoshop shit, and then it's like, what's your name? What's your name? Face disappears. The end, bruh.
It's Kevin asking him what his name is.
All right. What's your name? What's your name?
Seb was really out of it by the end of this.
No. I don't really remember. I just wrote down "what's your name" a bunch of times.
Yeah, it's Kevin. Yeah. Kevin says it to the thing, and it just doesn't reply, and it's just there. I don't know. It's just the framing of it, the way it's there. That could be anybody. It could be whoever. It could be anything.
What if he replied, "It's me, Skinamarink."
Mr. Skinny Binks, or
Mr.
here, my
Skinny
friend,
Binks.
Mr. Skidmarks.
It's me, Mr. Skibbity Rink.
Skibbity
Rink. But look, we made it. That is the last bit of the movie. He asks, "Who are you?" And then the movie ends. We get the credits. So, well,
So yeah, that the ending I thought was super lame. But
Okay.
I was kind of like, well, what the fuck else are you gonna do, really? Like, what's
yeah.
at this point? But yeah, that made it like it just shot me back from nostalgia of a child as being a child and being scared to nostalgia of being a teenager and seeing creepypastas, right? Which was cringe for me. So that's why that hit that level of cringe. Gosh, this movie was no fun for me to watch, but so much fun to discuss. So thank you very much for discussing this film with me. I've had a great time actually breaking it down and thinking about it. Now I cannot wait to hear you guys' theories. Lay them on me.
Sean, do you want to run with anything first?
I don't really have any theories of my own, to be honest.
Okay.
I really have just taken this film at face value for the majority of it.
What does it say at face value to you? What does it mean to you?
Shit's fucked.
Well, yeah, shit's fucked. So it's more of a vibe, bro. It's literally what you were saying when we started this.
I've been saying this the whole fucking time. It is a vibe. It doesn't have to be all that deep. There doesn't have to be an explanation. In fact, it's better if there's not an explanation because that's what makes the film scary.
You hear this, Bex? You're about to tell us your theory.
I know. You know what, right? And this is no joke. I have it written as my very first note of what I thought. I don't think this movie entirely has a plot, and I have it in brackets here. Beckham, you might be making more of this than you think you need to. That's literally what I have
right there, Bex. That is the art world.
But I get it, and now right.
I have been in galleries, dude, where there are paintings of just white on a canvas, and somebody's came up to me and they've been like,
"Yeah, but that's like insane."
Wow, this is really amazing. You can really tell the feelings the artist was going through when he was doing this. It really talks about his childhood. And you can see by the texture of the acrylic and the use of the brushstrokes that.
But then, right on the counter of that, right, that painter guy would listen to you talking about A Space Odyssey and go, "That guy is making up nonsense." You know what I mean? Like different things, different strokes for different folks.
Absolutely, and again, this is why to me this is a piece of art that we are covering today on We Know Kino more than it is a piece of cinema. I think it's first of all it's a piece of art, and it's been cool to also it's taken me from my childhood, it's taken me to my teenage years, it's taken me to my years working in the galleries and the museum, and to being from gallery assistant all the way to like curator in exhibitions. Like through all of these different stages in my life, this movie has made me think of those and childhood horror stories and friendships. So you know what? Thank you, Kyle Edward Ball. Thank you for that, because that's really cool. He's done that. That's great. And
if by any chance he hears this podcast,
he's going to hate me because I've just been ragging on him this whole time.
Get in touch so we can ask you questions about what the fuck any of this meant.
No, you never answer anybody's questions, Kyle.
That's bad. No,
never answer the questions.
Don't answer my questions. Listen to me shit my answers to you, and then just kind of go, Well, and that's all I need. I don't even need you to tell me I'm right or wrong. Just let me say what
I'll be Kyle. Tell me what you thought, Bex. Let's go.
Okay, right. So on my first watch of this, I came out of it thinking, if this is only going to be, it was only just a dream movie, I'm going to fucking hate it. And that was after watching it the first time. I had to think about it. It's like, if I come to the conclusion that I think it was all just a dream, I fucking hated it, right? Then
that's brutal.
I enjoyed it as a part, but then
you could have. You were too passionate, Bex.
You're too strong.
If it had been at the end, it's all a dream, after watching it and having kind of enjoyed it, I'd have really hated it because it's all just a dream. Movies are just like, I don't know how to end my movie. I'm writing that as my ending, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then the second time I went into it and I was like, right, try, you know what, I'm going to give him a shout out. Try and do a Steve on it. Try and put the big idea of what this could mean and give it a better reason, right?
Yeah.
So, and I looked up all this stuff afterwards and I seen the coma theory or all of that kind of stuff. And I connected with that, but I don't agree with it. I have a different take. So I think it is just vivid nightmares of Kevin living with an abusive family member, right?
I kind of alluded to that earlier, dude. You know, when I was talking.
Like when you said, and then when Sean said that maybe the entity had been the one that pushed him down the stairs, right?
Yeah.
Instead, I think
more
it's
father
the dad.
Maybe did it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I think it's probably his dad because then the voice that's speaking to him is his dad as well, right? Because it's exerting control over the family and the house. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The mother's now gone. She's escaped or somewhere else.
And I have it like noted here as well. So he's seemingly able to do anything. And then when I watched it the second time, and when Kevin says, "How do you do that?" when he changed the phone, he says, "I can do anything." That like literally quoted in the movie. So I pieced that. Then when anytime Keely, who is the older sister, showed resistance, they removed her eyes and mouth, meaning they basically told her to, you didn't see what you seen, shut the fuck up.
Got no agency in this, yeah.
So like maybe at the start of the movie, Kevin was pushed down the steps by the dad. Their parents are divorced, like we've said. Keely was maybe going to talk to the mother about what she'd seen happening to Kevin, and then the dad basically probably done something and told her, no, you can't do that. Shut the hell up. And I noted it, and then that's why I probably jumped the gun a little bit. When it came to the photos at the like towards the end of all the people with no heads and stuff, it's because Kevin can kind of like recognize all these people around him becoming like, in his mind, faceless monsters of people that are supposed to be there to protect him, or like, you know, be adults or be people around him are meant to save him from this, but they're not. So he doesn't even recognize who they are anymore. They're not who he, as a 4-year-old, would expect.
What about the police? Do you have anything on that?
I have literally nothing about the police because that confused me. I didn't understand if it was a real thing or if, like Sean had said, or maybe like we kind of alluded to it. So maybe he'd reached out at one point and then his dad had caught him on the phone. That's what I was
doing with. Yeah.
So that's basically what I took out of it on the second time. Again, there's little pieces there, but I could have been reaching to just try and make a meaning to it, and it's just nonsense. I have no idea. So that's what I've got. That's it. I've no idea.
Thank you for sharing that, because I vibe with that, dude. As a movie all about vibes, as Sean would say, I vibe with that. That's absolutely.
Well, what about you then? What theories have you got?
Well, mine was similar to Beck's, was that it was an abusive family and that the entity was more the father.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When
I finished watching it, that's what I thought, and then I saw the theories about the coma and stuff, right? And then I went and watched Heck, and I was like, well, no, this is doing that. Right? So this should be a different thing. And both kids are involved, right? Something's happened to the mother. She's no longer got her eyes and she's out of the picture. Now the daughter's out of the picture. The kid has had an accident at the beginning. That's an important thing. So to me, thinking about it, I'm more in line with Bex's thinking. Maybe not exactly the same, but that's the idea that I was getting, that I get from this.
I think I agree, because especially after watching Heck, I thought that like everybody's internet thing of, oh, he's in a coma, suited that way better.
It does. It fits that way more. And I think that because that one's more linear, people have taken that and then maybe
connected the dots,
extrapolated from that to this. Yeah.
Where I think Skinamarink, if it had have been the same, it would have been, I think it would have been more of what Heck gave us, of some conversations that would have added up more to being a coma than what is in Skinamarink. Like Heck basically to me is he's either in a coma or he's passed away and he's in limbo, like you'd said when you were talking about it as well. Where Skinamarink doesn't really give you maybe it is the same thing, but it's just more obscure about it. But it doesn't give you a connecting dot to go, oh, okay, that would be why that would be him in the coma. And you know what I mean? Like there's not an actual point where I go, yeah, okay, I could make that one about him being in the coma, where in Heck you can.
In Heck it just fits. The dots connect. In this also like themes about kids being left alone, bad parents, kids being left alone to have accidents, or just being left alone, not knowing where their families are. Yeah, this is all brutal stuff.
And even the line from Keely when Kevin mentions their mother and she's like, I don't want to talk about it. That kind of, on the second watch, when I'd gotten it kind of screwed into my head that it's maybe something bad had happened to the mother and then she just got up and left, so the kids don't even know her that well. Yeah. So there was a lot of little pieces that I was just sticking into a puzzle to try and see.
Kaylee knows her more than he does.
Yeah, because she's older again, so she would have known what had happened to make her leave, where Kevin was 4. You don't fucking know what's going on with your parents when you're 4.
Abusive, manipulative father is vibes, and absent mother. So just a really sad time for these kids. And the police never find him, and it cut to fucking days late, 500 days later or something like that. Still, that long corridor with all of his toys in. What does that mean? What does that symbolize?
When it came to the 572 days, it only dawned on me an idea when Zach were talking about last night. We were talking, and it's like maybe that's how long in the real world that the mother had been gone, and that's how many days of abuse the kids themselves had dealt with now, with no protection from her, kind of thing as well. So the toys and stuff they got to hide in there. So the linear room is like their little room where they hid and they played with all their toys, and that's where they hid, and then it showed the days there. So there's so many little things you can connect that we could all be entirely wrong. Somebody could watch this now and they'll tell us that they believe the coma and they have the connecting dots.
I would totally absolutely love if you watch this and if you've watched the movies and you've listened to this, please tell us what you think is the case. If you have a feeling, or even what kind of vibes you got from it, if you're like Sean, where you're just like, shit's fucked.
Or if you maybe try and write shit, tell us too.
Maybe try and write poo is bad though instead of shit's fucked, because like the YouTube comments might censor it and we might not see it.
Do it in emojis.
Yeah. Do the turd emoji followed by the eggplant. There we go. Shit's fucked.
There we go. But there we go. We made it through Skinamarink. We did it, guys.
Anything you want to say before we move on from Skinamarink, Sean? Because you brought this to us.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose what I want to say is thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch the film. Thank you for having me here on the podcast with it. And thank you for finally being people that I can discuss the film with for once. It's been really fun being here, talking about films. Not something I really do, as everyone who knows me knows. I'm not really a film guy, but I suppose this one was a bit different. So, yeah, that's all I really wanted to say.
I said this to Zach last week, and Zach, if you're listening, I'll say this to you as well. I would love it if you could both come back on again at some point. I'm sure Steve would. Steve's already said that he would love to have you guys on when he's on. Yeah. And thank you so much for helping me and Bex out as well, because this is
hell yeah.
It's cool to have like more people to bounce off. And also we've found that Bex, Steve and I, even though we've got different taste in movies, sometimes our opinions are very similar. So it's also cool to be able to bring new people in and fresh ideas like that. And like, this is a movie that I don't think Bex or I would have got round to. Maybe Bex would have got around to watching it eventually, but maybe it was on my list this way,
No, it was on my list since it came out. It's all like when it came out and people were talking about it, I was like, all right, I'll throw it on the list and I'll get to it. And then it fell out of memory. And then anytime I'd seen it on like I've like the watch list on Letterboxd, it'll come up and be like, not really feeling it. I don't really care. But whatever, I'll get to it when I get to it. Now, like even like I said last week when we said we were doing it, I nearly jumped out of the seat. I was like, I'm finally getting the excuse to just check out whatever the fuck this was. So I'm really glad that you brought it. I'm glad you did it. Did us talking about it change any of your opinions on it, Sean? Are you kind of still the same, or did it do anything different?
I feel, if anything, I feel more secure in my convictions about this film. Like, I understand where you guys are coming from with things being quite slow and like not really progressing a whole lot. But again, at the end of the day, I think it's just you guys maybe taking something a bit different from the film that I did. For me, it was more like just, I keep on saying vibes, but like, yeah, it was more of a feeling, an atmosphere. I don't want to sound too pompous, but an experience.
Well, dude,
it was like a mood movie.
It is.
Yeah.
Like I said, as I can see this as an installation piece in a gallery. It is a vibe. It is a mood. It is, the whole thing is a certain atmosphere that it has created, and it is more those things than anything tangible. Right? So yeah, to me, that's what it is. And I in that sense, it completely works, right? Even though, as I said, as a film for me, no. As a vibe for me, yeah, it worked. It worked in that sense. Oh, all right. We finished talking about Skinamarink, guys. We're going to talk about what's we're excited about, what's coming up, what we've been into. But first, I think we should definitely do our plugs, and we should start with friend Krampus. We should start with Sean. Where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me on YouTube at friend_Krampus. There I have a defunct YouTube channel. I may upload once every couple of years. If you want to subscribe, that's fine. If not, as Seb said at the beginning, I'm often at twitch.tv/the spooky memes on either playing Dead by Daylight with him, or I'm normally in the chat somewhere. If you want to get in contact. I'm happy to talk to most people about anything writing related, horror related, that sort of thing. That's kind of my vibe. So if you do want to get in touch, then by all means.
You can, if you ever come to the stream, you can find either of us in the Discord too there.
There's that as well.
There.
If you want to message me directly, I probably won't see a Twitch message or a YouTube message. So if you want to contact me via Discord, that's fine too.
Yeah. Hey, Bex, where can people find you? What do you do?
We've got Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and a Letterboxd, all under Bex Feet and 7. I've started to post on YouTube a little bit more again. I'm trying to stay consistent, and I've told everybody in my community if I drop the consistency, they're allowed to beat me. So I have to stick to it.
The Skinamarink's going to come for you.
It's going to get me. Mr. Skinny Minx is going to find me.
Bex, what did you rate this movie, by the way?
I'm probably... I don't do it now just in case Steve or anybody that comes creeping around to see what I'm thinking before these come out. So I only do it on the day. But I'm going to give it a 2.5 as well, I think. I think it's on the same as Heck. I think the two of them are so on the fence that I can't lean either way. If anything, this probably would have got a 3 out of 5 ahead of Heck, because I do like it a bit more
than Heck, though. Yeah.
So, but I'm so on the fence about it. Like, I can't say a 3 or a 2, because that means I feel like a shit another rose it up too high. So it's going to get a 2.5, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, check me out on all those places. I'll be doing cool shit. There's a lot of exciting things coming, which I'll probably talk about in a minute. And Seb, where are we getting you?
You can get me on Twitch. That's where I'm mostly at. I'm there every day except for Wednesday, 7 p.m. GMT till late. and I'm nearly always doing Dead by Daylight over there. So you want to come talk horror, come talk anything. We're over there to party every night. YouTube, doing a big push on YouTube at the moment. In fact, the past month just hit over 100k views. So thank you everybody who's been checking out my YouTube stuff. I had a lot of people come to the Twitch stream last night and say, "Hey, I saw you on my YouTube homepage." And I was like, "Yes, that's amazing. That's fantastic." Because I've been working at this for a long time. Also, if you like friend Krampus and you want to see more of him, on my YouTube channel, self-plug for friend Krampus for Sean, Sean and I, over the years, we are big into survival horror. We're big into horror games. We have done a Let's Play from Resident Evil 0 all the way to Resident Evil 8 currently. So you can watch us play through the entirety of those games. We've done remakes, we've done the originals. It's like a mix mash, really. But I would recommend starting on Resident Evil 3 or 4, because I think those two are our favorite Let's Plays that we've done, right? 3 is my favorite, and 4 for you, for original. There's also a series of videos we've got called the Krampus Cuts, and that's where Sean has edited together all of the best bits. So if you want to get a vibe of those videos, you can check those out, Krampus Cuts. They're pretty awesome. So catch me on YouTube at The Spooky Memes, catch me on Twitch at The Spooky Memes, or catch me on TikTok at The Spooky Memes. You should also, we're missing somebody this week, Steve Knievel. Check him out. I'm sure when he gets back, he'll be streaming on Twitch. I don't know what his plans for YouTube and TikTok are, but he'll definitely be on Twitch. And we don't know what we're doing for the movie next week, do we?
No, we're kind of in the air at the moment.
We've been waiting for Steve to come back before we decide on anything. So make sure you follow the We Know Kino Twitter, or come check us out, Bex and I, out in our streams to find out what film we're going to be covering or what movies we're going to be covering over the Halloween, the course of October.
Because we can say, we can give a little tease that it's going to be horror related because we're heading into October. We do want to kind of stick to the same franchise at least for the entirety of October.
That's what we're thinking.
And hopefully it'll be a franchise that we can get finished at the latest at the start of November. So we want to get through October, and then maybe if there's another one or two, we'll get finished out at the start of November. So there'll be an entire franchise of some form covered for spooky season over October. We just don't know yet because we're waiting on Steve.
Yeah.
And we don't want to pressure Steve because he's on his holiday.
He's having a nice time on his holiday, and I can't wait to chat with him when he's back. So he'll be back next week on next week's episode. And that'll be awesome.
Indeed. Yes.
All right. Bex, do you want to start us off in our yapping bubble segment of what you've been up to? Or shall I? And then we'll have friend Krampus in the middle and we'll sandwich him.
I think you can start, because I started last week's, and I think even the week before. I've took over the yapping bubble beginning, so let you go.
I keep being like, Bex, take us away.
Yeah, so you know what? I think I'll be nice this week. Look, guys, I'm so humble. And you can go.
I've been playing lots of Dead by Daylight. It's pretty good. I've been working really hard, so mostly focusing on that. Taking Enzo out on lots of cool dog walks. That's been lovely. Something I'm looking forward to is Sean and I. We're going to go see The Substance tomorrow night.
We are
at the cinema. So I'll maybe talk about that in next week's yapping bubble about whether I liked it or not. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. Diva, a friend of the show, she went to see it and she said it was like a life-changing experience. It was really cool. So I'm hyped for it, and everything I've seen from it looks great so far. That's what I'm really looking forward to. Also, as we're coming into October, there's a bunch of movies I'm looking forward to seeing. Megalopolis, that comes out in next 2 weeks or something.
It's doing its premieres this week, so yeah, it's coming out very soon.
I'll check that out when I can, just because I'm so interested as to what the fuck that is.
Have you seen any of the weird shit they've been doing this week at all? No.
No, I saw the stupid fake reviews that they did of Francis Ford Coppola's
Okay,
previous
so
movies.
for these premiere shows that I've seen now, okay, so
Yeah.
they bring people up to a microphone to talk to Adam Driver's character, and he responds to
Right.
questions.
I knew that was a
but
thing, right?
It's been figured out that it's not just, hey, random audience members, it's actors brought up to ask a certain question to make sure that the answer
So
suits.
the idea was, because this is I think MGM Amazon has been working with Francis Ford Coppola. Francis Ford Coppola wanted to make specific Alexa devices that would be Megalopolis themed or have the technology in, where while you were watching this movie on an Amazon device, it would then stop and you would talk into your Alexa to talk to Adam Driver. And then a bunch of preset recordings of different endings or different outcomes would come from that. So like like the Black Mirror Bandersnatch, where you're choosing different choices.
Yeah.
It was like more of an interactive experience, which we are not there right now with the technology, but you play games like Until Dawn or the casting of Frank Stone. Like that is definitely where movies could go.
Yeah.
So I do think there is a cool idea there. We are just not there yet. Right.
No.
So and
like especially seeing it, like the pictures and stuff now this week, like when I first heard it, I was like, it could be cool if it's done to like a weirdly high technological like way. But then when I figured it out that it's pre-recorded and then they get actors in the crowd to come up and pretend, I was like, all right, okay, they've done something cool, but they haven't done it to
that it was going to be right. But it was going to be actual audience members who would go up and talk. Like, I mean, that was the idea of why you would have it in your homes on your devices, right? But what happened was Amazon cut all the jobs of the people who were working on those projects, so that fell through with that.
Thanks.
Great, thanks Bezos. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, and also I don't know when we'll get you next on, Sean. You and I we went to see the movie Joker a few years ago.
Yeah,
we both took women with us, and they hated it, and we loved it, and now we are no longer with those women, so we are going together ourselves, and we'll have a lovely time. And I don't know if we'll love it or hate it. It's currently got a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes. Who knows how it's going to be? That's in like the next week or so, I think, as well, or that's at some point. Joker,
some point during October, anyway.
Yeah, so 4th of October. Yeah, we're so close. Yeah, to that. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking forward to those movies, and I'll watch some more stuff. But yeah, I've just been so focused on my work. I've not really been doing too much interesting. Sean, bro, what you been doing? What you're excited for?
Well, over the past week or so, I've been working a lot. Just earning all that money so I can get a car and we can go places.
Oh, you and me are going to the Netherlands, dude.
Yeah, well, I'm not driving there, but we're going. Yeah, so we can take the well, at least part of the We Know Kino podcast on tour, or the spooky memes on tour. That'd be fun.
1/3 of We Know Kino plus special guest.
Yes, more or less that. Yeah. Yeah. So just been working hard the past week. Over the weekend, I went camping with some friends. We went to the beach to do that, and the weather was fantastic. I've got some incredible photos there. That was very nice.
Fuck yeah, man.
What's happening over the next week or so? Yeah, so, I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but Seb and I are going to watch The Substance in the cinema tomorrow. That's gonna be fun.
Did you see our other friend who I asked to come with us last night, Sean? Did you see his reaction?
Oh fucking hell, yeah! He's such a spraffer, you know that. He's such a fucking spraffer. He's always talking shit.
I have a friend who the three of us go to the cinema together a lot. Anyway, I paid for last time,
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, what if I don't remember to pay for you next time?" And I go, "I'll remember, dude." So he's like asking when are we going to hang out again. I'm like, "How about we hang out? We go to the cinema." He goes, "Oh no, I'm busy." And and then Sean pushes him on it, and he goes, "It's because I'm saving money." And then he goes, "No, it's because I'm packing. I'm going to be packing." And Sean's like, "What? You moving?" He goes, "Yeah, like late next month."
Yeah, well, you're packing a month in advance, are you?
Specifically Wednesday night at 9 p.m. packing. Yeah.
Funny that, isn't it? Funny.
That's the bulk of the packing right there. That's the day.
That's
Wednesdays
the
at
day.
9.
Yep.
Yeah. No other
Anyway,
day.
that's just really funny.
That's funny.
I honestly, it's okay. It's just hilarious. Like the excuses that he was pulling out was really funny.
Yeah. So yeah, not much else going on in my life at the moment. Just. Oh no! I tell a lie. I've got an interview for a new job at an antiques place, so I could be becoming an antiques dealer.
You're gonna have to bring
future.
any cursed objects to us as well. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah. I'll bring Lovecraftian artifacts, bro. Don't you worry.
Awesome. When you get the car, when you're saving up for your car, when you get your car, we're going to drive to Toluca Lake as well. That'd be dope.
We're going to Silent Hill.
Yeah.
I ask for questions, please, or questions for pictures, please.
Of course. I've already I've already figured out where Seb and I need to be in order to get the exact angle for the picture.
Yeah, just to explain this, Silent Hill 2, James Sunderland, he's looking at the lake. The lake is just a photoshopped picture of a lake that is in the Lake District that Sean and I could get to pretty easily if he can drive, which he can.
Crying.
If he has a car, which he doesn't, which he will do.
If anyone's interested, Toluca Lake is in fact Derwent Water, which is in the Lake District of the UK, near where we live. And if you want to get the exact look at the original photo, you have to climb about halfway up Cat Bells, which is a fell or a small mountain. That's what we call them here, fells.
Yeah,
and you have to look out towards Keswick, which is the local sort of town nearby. I've figured it all out, bro. Don't you worry.
Dude, I can't wait, man. That's gonna be dope.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I think have I cut out?
No, I can hear you.
Have we disappeared? Oh. No. Bex, do you want to go?
Hello. This lined up way more perfect than I was expecting it to, because today, Tuesday, the 24th September, is officially the 23rd anniversary of Silent Hill 2. I wanted to mention that today.
Oh,
so
hell yeah.
You guys lined that up really nicely. As any of my community know, I'm a massive Silent Hill guy, and the countdown for the remake is starting to get a little bit close. So I'm getting excited for it. I can't wait to just show people something that I care a lot about in a game. Last time I got to do that was probably The Last of Us. So that's going to be cool when that comes out in a couple of weeks' time. I think it's less than 2 weeks now.
The 8th
13 days today.
8th of October. Yeah. 4 days after Joker 2 days.
So that's something I'm obviously getting very closely excited about. And my dad's not really big into video games, but the other day when I was over, he's like, "Oh, I've seen there's a Silent Hill game coming out. You're going to be playing it?" I was like, "Yeah, Dad actually asked a question about a game." So, like, even Callum was, he's asking him about games he's playing and stuff. Dad's making the effort of games lately. It's weird. But I don't know. It's such a weird thing for somebody that doesn't like get it. You know what I mean? Like, my dad's experience with video games is the God of War games and MotoGP, and that's it. That's all he's ever played and paid attention to.
Those are two very dad games, aren't they?
Literally.
Yeah.
So there's that. I'm excited. I'm also going to say it on the podcast, and I'm probably going to regret it, but probably the same week the game comes out, I might possibly be getting a Silent Hill tattoo done.
Have you
No
got tattoos?
commitment.
Ooh.
I've got 2 tattoos. Do you not know that?
No.
Yeah, I've got 2. I've got both of them are on my leg. So on my right leg, it's cringy, but it's got some weird meaning to me at the time. I've got like a bunch of gears and pistons and all that kind of shit in my leg, medical shit when I was younger and blah blah blah. So it was like me being like, I'm so cool. Look, I'm cool. I'm edgy. And on my left leg, I've got Jason Voorhees.
Do you?
Yeah.
I did not know you had Jason Voorhees on your
I've got
body.
a odd little Jason Voorhees on my leg. So my
Is
next
it the
one
masked
is
Jason Voorhees?
yeah. There's
It's not the
mask
sack
and there's like
Jason
a little,
Voorhees.
No. There's like a hockey mask and there's like a little smaller Jason just underneath him, and it's just again, it's not anything crazy, but it's just I like Jason enough that I did it.
What
So it'll be
Silent
the
Hill
same.
would you get?
I have it's Silent Hill 2 because Silent Hill 2 is like probably my favorite horror game of all time. And I have like I want Pyramid Head's head in it. I want the actual dome. I want one of the I don't know what the word is for the sigils behind it, like the markings behind him.
Mhm.
I want a couple of like little chains that are underneath it, and then I want the iconic line of it from Mary's Left. Fucking like I don't know how much I want though, so I have to figure out the writing. The writing part needs to be figured out, but I want something where like I see that place, Silent Hill. I want that.
I'm dead.
in it.
Come get me.
But I don't know what writing I want, but it's getting made. Anybody that's in my community has been complaining because I've been saying it for the last like year that I want Silent Hill tattoo, but I keep changing my mind or I keep not. I can't lock it in because I want it to be like perfect.
It means a lot.
but-
So I want it to be
yeah, Silent Hill 2 is a game to me big, like big. I love that game a lot. There's and it's just a great fucking game, and that's why I'm very jealous that you guys are going to go. So I want loads of pictures, please, and thank you.
By the way, I don't know if that came up through on the recording.
The broom.
A vroom went through Sean's mic, came through Sean's mic, and then came through my mic.
That's the proof right there. We do live on the same street. It's not just a meme.
It's fucking great. I was so confused. I heard like brr.
Yeah, that's what that was. It wasn't just like a guy right outside the house for a long time. It was the street going down.
What else have we? I finished playing the Dead Rising remake yesterday. So
How
Monday.
was it?
Oh,
Sean's
Honestly,
a huge deadhead.
I am.
It's just a prettier version of the exact same game, which is a good thing to say, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mess with anything, even though there's a couple of character.
You're cutting out, Bex. You're cutting out.
Oh, sorry. There's one character model that's changed that I know people were a little bit iffy on, but I didn't really care that much.
Yeah.
Sean, you'll probably remember the Butcher.
Oh,
Yeah, they changed what he looks like. And to be honest, when I seen him, I was like, it's fine. Like, I'm not going to be crying about it.
interesting. I wonder why.
But I finished that. Got 3 separate endings yesterday because I stupidly did the overtime mode right afterwards without realizing. Yeah.
What's that?
It's like the ending after the ending of one of the endings. So
yeah.
But I did that without even realizing. I clicked into it. I was just like, it straight played through, and I was like, yeah, cool. And then I realized I was on for like an hour. I was like, cool, it's done now. So that's the games. I watched Grown Ups with Callum and his girlfriend on Sunday, the Adam Sandler movie. I mainly only mentioned that because Callum's girlfriend told us that she gave us a like on Spotify.
Hey.
So
Thanks,
big
Callum's
up, Becca.
girlfriend. I hope you enjoyed your Adam Sandler movie. Please make Bex watch the movie Pixels. That would be great.
I was the one that mentioned it the last day, and Callum told me to fuck up. So I don't think I'm going to get to watch it.
Oh, you can have a sad time if you want to watch Click.
Click is a great movie, to be fair, it is. Adam Sandler has some good bangers in
He's
it.
got some
And
bangers. He's
stinks.
got some bangers. He's got some absolute stinkers though too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Becca. Thank you for liking. Cool. Shout out to Callum. He's been checking them out as always. And
Shout out to everybody who likes him, by the way. Give us 5 stars on Spotify, like the video on YouTube. Give us a comment. It's all that good stuff. Thanks for listening.
What else? The PlayStation State of Play is today, and there's a big chance Resident Evil 9 might be shown off, so you guys might be interested in that.
Oh.
There's a lot of PlayStation games that look like they're going to be cool at the moment, but there's a heavy conversation that Resident Evil 9 will get at least a teaser or something in there. So
come on, give us Code Veronica remake. Come on, give us.
I honestly, I take it. I take
Zero.
it.
Let's go.
5 remake will be coming. That'll be weird.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
What point do you guys say where you should probably just stop making the remakes now? Just leave them, because some of them are pretty modern.
8 was
still.
pretty poo, so remake 8, please. And
I didn't vibe with 8 all that much either.
no,
Fine.
7 was the reboot and the redo, right? So you go up to 6 is what I'd say, right?
Yeah, because when do you get to don't touch 7 now? It's pretty recent.
I think
you don't need to do it again.
split them up via engine with this now. Where not the originals. You have the originals, which are all in the same continuity, and then you have your RE engine, which should be. I think they're all in the same continuity, right?
Continuity, yeah.
That's how I would cut it up.
RE engine as well, right? It's the only thing about Dead Rising I'm actually kind of disappointed in. They didn't do enough with it. It just feels
when
like a prettier
that it was
Dead
a
Rising.
remaster. Well, they're calling it a remaster because I was excited. Dead Rising, like a zombie game, Dead Rising that people love in the mall, but with RE engine. Like, are we going to have RE2 style zombies walking around in there? That would be incredible. No, we didn't get that.
Nah, after you spend like 4 hours walking around, you realize it's just prettier Dead Rising. Like, it's the only thing I wish they'd maybe.
How's the AI
engine.
for the zombies? Are they any better?
Totally the same. Honestly, I remember the exact same. I could walk through a hallway and one would miss me and then one would catch me, and I was doing the same thing.
I don't feel like any rush to get that then.
No. Like, if you love it, cool, you're getting a pretty version of it. Other than that, I'd just be like, it's on a sale, pick it up.
Yeah.
Right. What else is that? I think that's everything that I have that's done. Yeah. Silent Hill Anniversary was the main thing which I wanted to talk about, but then you guys were like, we're going to see the lake. And I was like, yay!
Come me. come over. Road trip.
I want to see it so bad.
How cool
I
would
really
that be?
do.
Yeah.
Maybe I could do it, if you're going on road trip, I can get my passport sorted, even though I tried last month and right, okay.
You could out there. Bex is trying to get his passport sorted.
And I tried last month, right? So because I was born in England and I want to get an Irish passport, right? They need proof that I existed in England is basically the dumb way of putting it down, because they won't give me an Irish passport where they could say, hey, why don't you just fuck off and get an English passport? Which I could do because I was born in England. I could get either passport, but I want an Irish passport because it's easier for just stuff over here, right?
Yep.
But they refused to give me it last month because I couldn't prove that I was born in England, even though my birth cert says it. But they still were like, no, we can't give you your passport because we don't know if you exist, basically. So I have to try and figure it out over the next couple of weeks if I'm going to prove that I was born where I was born, other than a birth cert already saying it.
So you can't get into England right now, is that what you're saying?
I have no passport at all right now. Mine is out of date, so I literally can do nothing.
That's crazy.
And I can't even get a passport. Because I wanted to go to England by the end of the year for just a trip to go over and do something, right? And I was fully fledged trying to figure it out, had it all sorted out, and then I got a call from a number, and it was like, yeah, we need you to prove that you were born in England because to get through the pass and whatever, you have the details here to prove it. So it's like, okay, cool.
Oh, so
sent them my birth cert, and they were like, yeah, no, that doesn't do enough. It's like, it literally says where I was born. There's a hospital and my name, my date of birth. It's all there. This is me. So I don't know what I have to do, but hopefully I'm going to try and figure it out next week again and see if I can get one sorted, because my best friend travels a lot, and every time he goes somewhere, he asks me, will I come? And I'm just like, I haven't got any passport to go, so I can't. So for that reason, I should get it fixed. It's so annoying. I'm me. Just let me in. It's like what am I meant to do? Fucking get out the photo book from my mum and dad and show a bunch of baby pictures of me. It's like, look, this is a building in England. I'm here as a. It's me.
It's a picture of you as a baby with a local newspaper and the date.
I'm just holding. I'm pointing at the date. Look. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. I think it's just a complication because I haven't had a passport fucking forever. Last time I traveled was just well before COVID now for a football match. So it'll get sorted. But when it does, I'll hopefully see some people over in England, because I've been meaning to go for fucking forever since COVID stopped now.
Yeah,
I just haven't done it.
Get it done. Get it sorted.
Yeah, hopefully. So then you guys can take me to the Silent Hill Lake and never come home.
Yes,
Ever.
sir.
You can write letters.
It's not that good.
You look just like my wife. I'm just going to say that to everybody. Everybody that walks up to me, this woman, is like, you just look just like my wife.
Just like my wife.
Have
You talk to
seen
people
Mary?
in James Sunderland's weird, stilted voice patterns.
So start chasing people around, hitting them on the head with sticks.
You've got a radio attached to like your belt, and it's just constant static playing.
Are you guys any more excited about the game coming out, the remake? Sean, I know you definitely love Silent Hill. I know you talked about, but have you changed opinions? Or are you excited, or are you still anxious about it?
From what I've seen of like the limited amount that I've seen, I've tried to sort of distance myself from any of that. I am optimistic about it.
Okay.
I wasn't to begin with, but it looks a bit better now. And although some of the art direction has changed, especially in the voice acting,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad change. I think it works quite well. I don't get what all the controversies are about people. Like people complain about like Angela's model and Maria's model and stuff like that. I see where they're coming from with Maria's model to a degree, but with Angela, I'm like, fucking grow up, you know. Stop.
I like 100%. I agree, and it's the same even with the Maria conversation. People are like, "Oh, like she's meant to represent this." I was like, she still does. She just looks and dresses a little different. It's fine. Like she's still going to be the same character. She just is modernized, I suppose, now in the design of her, whatever. I don't know. Again, it's just another case of the internet like complaining before they actually get to see it properly.
Precisely.
We'll find out when it comes out, won't we?
You know what I'm saying on the podcast as well, so I can't back out of it. I have committed to platinuming the game as well, which means every single achievement, meaning every single ending. I've committed, and I've said it on stream. I've said it to Callum, and I'm staying to it. I'm going to platinum the game. I'm going to do it, and I know how difficult it is. That's my challenge for the year, for the end of the year, is to get the platinum on Silent Hill 2.
Well, I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
I hope it is good.
I'm excited, but then like I loved the game a lot, and I unfortunately was part of I caught the end of the game in my like childhood, so I was very young when it came out, so I caught most of my
been, right? Because Sean and I know about Silent Hill, but nobody in our vicinity knows about Silent Hill, right? Like growing up.
Mine's the same. Like anytime I even mention Callum's soul leaving it, because he's the only person I can talk to that gets it. Anytime I mention it, like most of my friends IRL don't play games, or if they do, they're like the Call of Duties and FIFA players of the world, like me as well. But the minute I mention
Bex
Silent
is like,
Hill,
hey guys, I'm really into Silent Hill. What have you been playing this week? I bought FIFA and Fortnite. I
just like different games, I just like trying things.
Why limit yourself to one genre with anything, with one medium?
And speaking of Fortnite, I get an excuse to mention it. The Bye 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 dance from Deadpool and Wolverine got added to it. So there you go.
All right, I think that'll be us, guys.
Yeah, on that note.
Sean, thank you so much for being our guest this week. It's been amazing. We'll get you back on at some point.
Yes,
you can give us another
Very
interesting
welcome.
movie. I think this was the perfect movie to talk scary stuff right as we're about to go into Halloween season. So thanks for that. What a great choice. Thank you everybody for listening. As I said, please give us a 5-star review on Spotify, or give us a like and a comment on YouTube. Come check us out on our different socials. Come talk to us on stream. Come hang out at the Spooky Memes, at BexV7, at friend_Krampus on YouTube, at Steve Knievel. Steve, we miss you. Come back, baby, please. You look like my wife.
Love you, Steve. Unless Steve was never real this whole time.
Oh my God. Hey, peace out, everybody. Laters. Laters. Peace. Adios.
Bye.